Oh dear. There's a storm outside.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 470, Forrest Gump. What are American values? And this is, of course, Renegade Cut Day. The joys of nearing the end of the month. And, oh boy, if we didn't have enough politics happening all around the world, now we have a full evening dedicated to American values, whatever those are.
Yeah, told to us by a Chinese shill.
It's a northern South Korean or whatever we call. We're not sure what he is anymore.
He took money from China to make communist propaganda in the West.
Oh, it's one of those. I can't remember what his stripes are these days. If you're an anarchist, you're pretty much against politics or governments. So I don't know where.
Well, he isn't.
I know, it's kind of weird.
He took money from China. We know that. Most of Breadtube did.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to understand where his affiliations lie when you want to make money, but you also want to bring down the system, and then you want to talk about American politics. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think these guys have a really definitive stance. They just want to destroy what's here right now, no matter what, so that they can get some ephemeral version of socialism that they don't really define later on, because it will be perfect this time, it will work this time, but because they can't really spell it out what they actually want, it will fail again.
Well, I can tell you right now, if you're on the left-leaning side and you're in power, the first step is to freeze bank accounts. That pretty much screws over all your opposition. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah? They actually done that?
Yeah. No, it's serious. This happened last week. Today was the official day they were supposed... No, yesterday was the official day they voted on it. The NDP decided they went along with it, even though they don't like it. And today they didn't have a session because of all the arrests happening.
One of these. Oh, we really have a stomach ache with this law that we are passing that we really shouldn't, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and it's only temporary. We're only going to use these powers. I told you guys before. I have a cousin in the RCMP, and he got called down to Ottawa, and he was postponing that request as long as he could, but he had to go down. And what he's told me is pretty interesting. A lot of the people that he's come across are generally okay. A lot are also hopped up on something like, I don't know, alcohol or drugs. And a lot are also American. So there's this interesting checkpoint system they have going there where they pretty much have blocked off downtown Ottawa, and then they have blocked off from those checkpoints, but there's still trucks coming into the province and going to Ottawa. And they're stopping, and those trucks are stopping at the checkpoints. We have all these blocked checkpoints now. And there's no way they're going to move these trucks. Like, it's not stopping. There's been a lot of arrests, but this thing is not going away. Like, they cannot move these trucks. So, and they're blocked in anyway. So even if they were to move them, they'd have to remove all the checkpoints. So it's this bizarre system where you have these checkpoints that aren't being opened. You have the actual towers who don't want to do the job, and therefore the government has to find external contractors to do it. They got to get their tow trucks inside all the checkpoints, and then it's this ridiculous system. We're all stuck together. So.
Yeah, well, it looks like the demos has found out that it has actual power.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Put all your giant big rigs and block off traffic, which is funny because this has been done before. And the people would get parking ticket violations, and this is normal. This is standard law of anywhere you go in any city. And you just wait it out. You talk to whoever's in charge. They capitulate some demands, and they go home after a few days. That's all it should have been. And it's been going on for 3 weeks. It's going to keep going on. While Ontario, next month, the 1st of March, will have dropped most of the restrictions on restaurants and having passes. You still have to wear the face mask because whatever, that's fine, not a big deal. But at least we can go out. At least we can congregate. At least we can talk to. I can meet new people and say hello.
You can finally get out from hibernation, Smud.
Well, it's winter.
How is it gonna be to dust off those bars?
It's still winter, so I don't know if that's the greatest idea. It's pretty slippery out there. We had a windstorm or a sleet storm yesterday, so it's pretty messy. But it's getting worse next week, so not the best timing, but I could wait it out. Anyway, Renegade Cut. Let's see how long this thing is. We got
25 minutes.
25 minutes.
Well, he's speaking very slow.
This is true, but you know what? Forrest Gump is a beloved movie. I don't know one guy who doesn't like it, aside from being bored. It's like, it's all right.
It's gonna be him.
Yeah, probably. It's just a fun, silly movie of a lovable idiot that we all go, oh, isn't that cute? Oh, he's a nice guy. He loves that girl, even though she's not the best lady in the world. And he has a family. He has a best friend. He does right by his best friend's mom. He's a war veteran. Like, everything about him is just lovable. So it's a great film. It's 25 minutes. Came out 2 years ago in May. Has 220,000 views.
Oh God!
And I did a search for this title. The Take. You know, The Take. Those two crazy ladies we sometimes cover. They have a similar video, which is about 1.1 million views. So.
Oh my God.
Maybe he was running off that. I don't know. So
I can only believe these get so many views because YouTube is propping it up. There's no way hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people want to watch people like this talking this level of crap.
Yeah. So that's
especially Renegade Cut.
Yeah, that's what I said at the start. If you didn't have enough fill of politics the past few days, at least as a Canadian, here's some American stuff in case the Americans don't have enough. So, yeah, the joys of...
I mean, why would you listen for 25 minutes to someone talking like this about Forrest Gump being bad?
Whisp, too much enthusiasm.
American. I know. I would probably need to take antidepressants to get this emotionless.
Yeah, well, the topic, actually, I enjoy talking about what does it mean to be a thing. So what does it mean to be an American? Everyone has their own definition depending on which city or village or town you come from and where you are now. And every province, every state, every city is different, and the culture is different, the rules are different. But as an American, easy. You just point to the Constitution and say that is what it means to be an American in general. And then socially and culturally, you can talk about your city, your state, the local drinks, the local food, the local music. That's great stuff. I think this is a great conversation to have, probably not within the context of Renegade Cut's analysis of American Pie and all these other great films. But okay, I'll see what he has to say. I'll have an open mind. Maybe he's just addressing some concerns he doesn't like about America. There's lots, so that's fine. I'm open for it. I just know what to expect. Anyway. Okay, so let's get started. I think we're all good to go.
In 1892, a Christian minister named Francis Bellamy wrote an early version of what became the Pledge of Allegiance, a loyalty oath to be recited by the people of the United States of America. It had no official standing until 1942, when in the midst of World War II, the United States Congress adopted this pledge, albeit with slightly different language from the late 19th century version. In 1954, it changed once more to include the words, "under God." With the Cold War in full effect, many Americans distinguished themselves from the Soviet Union and their so-called state atheism with a renewed Christian zeal. Official national anthems and pledges are common enough, but what is uncommon is how...
See, this is adorable. I find this really cute. I especially like the lady on the left, the American flag on her chest. I see nothing wrong with this. Pledges of allegiance. I love where I live. This is a great country. Now, if it was like North Korea, that'd be a little creepy, but, you know.
No. North and South Korea is what you mean.
Okay.
Gotta go back to the reference.
Every country can do it as long as it's socialist. If it's not socialist, it's a bad thing. It's nationalism and Nazi stuff.
I don't believe in the recent history, like even those states have been like any of these pride. Like, of course, like China has it, but I can't really name like Northern Europe is pretty much like the other one that I know of, that they aren't like really have those, that they are proud of like what they are have accomplished before, like these parades, like waving the flag that much. It's a very rare sight.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Obviously, people in wars have war memorials. They feel honored and proud who have served, obviously. And I have a cousin who's a Mountie. I feel honored to have him in the service. I've known neighbors who were policemen. There's all kinds of honor and pride you have for the place you live and how you serve your country. But most of us aren't in the war or have been in wars and don't want to. And we like our lives to be as quiet as possible. So we don't want to get involved. Sure, we feel pride about, Canadian whiskey. I guess rye is not so bad. It's not the best in the world, but it's something to talk about. It's something to say, hey, I'm Canadian. This is a Canadian product. This is a Canadian service. This is a thing I can show off and say, hey, have some free maple syrup. It's delicious. And then they try it. And then Americans went, wow, this is much better than corn syrup. Well, usually. And, it's something to give as gifts. So I like this sense of pride, at least commercially, that you could share with people. Because Canada is pretty plain. Unless you go to Montreal, then it's wild. So you need to spice things up with metropolitanism and multiculturalism.
In Germany, the only time you'll see people dressed in the colors of our flag is during the football championships.
I like
any other day, people are afraid to even touch this stuff because they're afraid to be called Nazis.
Oh, jeez.
It's like the only nationalist people that you can have in your country is just like sport fans, and that's it.
No.
Especially soccer fans.
Only through that time.
Well, one of my favorite weddings I went to was German themed, and it was just amazing. Like
and they're not nationalists. They're patriotic.
Yeah, it's you had a war veteran, but it was a lot of dancing and singing and bells and just fun times with the beer and it was great. It was like, this is why we have Christmas markets. This is why we have Oktoberfest. It's such a festive, wonderful thing. And
you look at and if you look at the Bavarians, they have their state flag everywhere. They have it as tablecloth. They have it as window blinds. They have it as dresses. They have it as everything.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've seen that in Philadelphia with the regalia of Americanism on some old state houses. They have the flag, and they got the half semicircle red, white, blue something or other. That seems normal, but we're talking about the Liberty Bell. We're talking that whole area. These old buildings are around, so it makes sense. Not individual homes. I don't know about that. So.
Yeah, and it's this way here because the left has completely demonized anything patriotic by equating it to nationalism. And when anything patriotic is automatically nationalism, and therefore automatically fascism.
And it's bad because during that time there was slavery, and there were statuettes of people or statues of people that owned slaves and fought this or that other group who also were against the slave trade or whatever. Or, I don't know, like, let's throw down a statue of Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald, our first Prime Minister. Why? I don't know. I still can't tell you why they tore these things down. And it's sad to see
it's just mimicry of the Cultural Revolution of China under Mao. It's the same thing. Everything that is not socialist will be torn down. It doesn't matter if it was on the pro-South side or the North side or on the pro-Constitution side. It doesn't matter. Anything that is not socialism will be torn down. And at the same time, they build new statues. In Germany, they've built new statues of Lenin and Marx.
Oh, did you hear they converted the Marx statue? Was it Marx or Lenin statue in Russia to Darth Vader? It was amazing. I loved it.
That sounds appropriate. Although Darth Vader is a better character than Lenin, because Darth Vader not only started as a good person, he was tricked into being bad, and it basically tortured all his life, and came around at the end. He had a redemption arc. Damn, Lenin didn't. Lenin is worse than Darth Vader. Darth Vader blew up planets.
It was a Lenin statue. I just did a search.
Yeah. On this note, just I think there are some very underrated things, because for Germans, I think there are things to be. If you want to go this proud of your nation route or patriotism route, there are things to be proud of in post-war Germany, because that's what the flag is about. This is the post-war flag. This is not the Nazi flag. This is not the Weimar flag. This is the Germany after World War II. And we were, until 2015, the country safest for Jews. And since the war. I think that is an achievement. And if you can't be proud of that, I don't know what. Because if that doesn't mean you made good on, at least in some way, at least in spirit, on what some of our ancestors had done, this tyrannical government that we had, I don't know what. Like, is that not something, at least? No, it's all fascism. So, and it's the left, by the way, that destroyed this status of Germany being the safest country for Jews. Since 2015, they've been leaving the country in mass. But that's another topic.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to whatever he's going to say about these cute kids.
How the Pledge of Allegiance is utilized in public schools in the United States. Children recite this loyalty oath once a day, every day, for their entire childhoods. Kindergarten, middle school, living in other countries. Canada does something at least a little similar. Schools play the national anthem, not a Pledge of Allegiance, over the intercom, but nobody is expected to sing along, and O Canada is...
Yes, they are. I was a
Hey,
kid.
Mr. Socialist, what do you think happened in the East Bloc? What do you think happened behind the Iron Curtain? We had to do the very same shit that you are criticizing here. So shut the fuck up.
I don't know about you guys, but I was a kid in Canada. I was raised in Catholic schools, and we sang "O Canada" every morning. It was fine. No one bothered. No one was like, "Oh, I don't want to sing." Like, maybe some kids were sick, but other than that, no, everyone didn't mind it. It's a normal. It's not a very powerful anthem like the Russian or the American anthem, but it's easy to sing. It's not hard.
Yeah,
We
it's one of
only
these
have to
happy
do it
things
for
that we have.
special days, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's one of these happy chill ones of, hey, landscape here is nice, come chill.
Yeah, it's a nice anthem. It's nothing overly dramatic, and I like that. And it was a good start to the day, no matter what your homeroom was, and that was that. So, what's the problem, dude?
not a loyalty oath. The Australian version of a Pledge of Allegiance was phased out years ago, and most other countries in Europe do not practice this in schools at all. Apologists for the Pledge of Allegiance for children say that this is a
Apologists? It's a song. It's a, I pledge allegiance to the flag sort of deal. What's wrong with having that? If you're in America,
I think the only valid thing you could mention is that it has a pledge to God as well.
Maybe, but
that it is inherent that it has a religious element.
As an adult, if I had the capability, and maybe I will in the near future, to move to America under certain circumstances, and good real estate and location, all that good stuff, yeah, I'd be very proud to go to America. I'd love that. I would be happy to. And I would want to teach children or my kids or whatever, hey guys, you're really privileged here. This is a great place to live. And you should be proud to be here of all the liberties and freedoms you got.
Oh yeah, and the anthem of America is beautiful. It has a beautiful text if you know the history of it. The completely false critique of it is that it glorifies war, which is bullshit.
Right. And
it is holding out against war.
And the idea
that's what's happening
that you said about religion or God in the title is like, okay, I get that. I could see how some people who are strong atheists or whatever would disagree. But if you're talking about the historical significance of what that means, I don't think anyone would be like, oh yeah, that happened in America's past. It was founded in Christian values. I wouldn't have any problem saying or mentioning that. If it was based on Abrahamic values or Judeo-Christian or, anything. I'd be like, yeah, we had a Taoist value system back in the day. I'm proud to be here and say that every day. It's not a big deal. It's just history. So
that would also be a good value system.
Yeah, no, this is not a big deal. So I don't see, like, everything about the Pledge of Allegiance, there's nothing really bad. There's nothing bad you're saying that should make you feel bad or think like, oh, this is disgusting.
Harmless bit of civic pride, but there are a few problems with that. For one, it's mandatory, and children will get in trouble for not saying the Pledge of Allegiance. For another, children...
Yeah, but kids get in trouble for all kinds of things. It's, you're a kid. You're supposed to listen and pay attention and do what you're told and answer questions, etc., etc. So if you can't even stand and recite a speech over and over, should fill you with pride for each day. I don't know. Are they teaching you to pray as kids? Again, some kids don't have religious upbringing. That's fine. But this is no different than doing exercises every morning, stretching every morning, eating breakfast every morning. Like any routine you have is good discipline for a kid. So standing and reciting it for, 30 seconds or a minute can't be that a big deal.
Cannot possibly be aware of what they are normalizing in themselves at such a young age. And for another, apologists say that this is not actually a loyalty oath, but a pledge is a synonym for an oath, and allegiance is a synonym for loyalty. So let's not split hairs here. To Americans, the Pledge of Allegiance is unquestioned due to how early everyone is taught to recite it and how normalized it becomes for each individual. If nobody actively questions it, then it may never occur to an individual to think of it as anything but benign.
Okay, if you're a kid and you're not questioning everything, you're not a kid. There's something wrong with you. Every kid I've ever met saying, why? Why are we doing this? I want to go outside and play. I want to go over there. I want a nap. I want a cookie, whatever. Every kid's going to be like, why are we doing this? Oh, it's so boring. Because a lot of kids are bored.
If you have like a reasonable teacher, they would explain it to you right away.
Yeah, this is not inherently complicated, and it's like, hey, we're part of a country, and countries have these pledges that you believe in for living and freedom and liberty for all, and this is what we are, and that's a beautiful thing, don't you think so, Timmy? Like, it's not a complicated thing for a kid to ask questions and give them a basic answer. It's like, yeah, this is what this thing means. That's why we say it.
If someone calls it what it is, indoctrination, Americans...
Okay. No one's signing up at the end of grade school to join the military, okay? It's not like, I can't wait to jump into some boots, get stomping on some enemies. No one's like... They're kids.
Him of all people talk about the indoctrination. God damn, the irony.
Yeah, because it's not when he's doing it. It's not indoctrination. It's just,
it's the typical reflection.
Enlightenment.
Like, no.
Enlightenment of the
you're
children.
doing that.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, okay. say you're again religious. If you're not religious, it doesn't make any difference. But say you're religious, you're taught to say the Hail Mary, the All Father. That's not indoctrination. That's just a prayer. It's to focus yourself and calm down and believe in something greater than yourself. You don't have to do that. You can just close your eyes and imagine you're saying it, and it's fine. If you want to do that. Not too many people I know lie about their prayers, or when they say I'm praying for make my mortgage payment or my car payment. Oh, I hope it goes through. Or there's all kinds of times in your life where you need to sit back and just focus your mind. And whether that's a religious reason or a financial reason or whatever the reason is, please don't let me die from chemotherapy, or please don't have my test results turn positive. So I don't see anything wrong with prayer or pledging allegiance to something you believe in. And if you don't believe in it, you say, teacher, I don't like this. And then they'll call your parents and you'll have to sit down with them and say, hey, Timmy, why do you think this? And it should be very simple to figure out what's going on. It's not indoctrination, guys. I can't see that. I really can't. This is not a cult. Okay? This is not some weird militaristic, jingoistic organization. No one's forcing you to join the military or hurt your brother or whatever. Hey.
Get defensive because it is so common to them, so normal, that criticizing this totally normal thing feels abnormal. The state enshrines in itself and for its people a series of values, all of which are designed to create a productive population for the benefit of the state and to protect the state from unrest by its own people. These ingrained values, normalized behaviors, mainstreamed politics, and propagandized right way to be create a status quo, or current state of affairs.
It's not a right way to be, unless you want to talk about ethics and the law, how to behave properly, or you want to talk about the I Ching and there's a certain way of behaving in public. It's just a bunch of words to say we're all together, we're all on the same page.
Yeah, just collect the entire country into like one group. Like anyone feel the same feelings like what the country does as a countryman.
Yeah, I would.
And East Germany had a Pledge of Allegiance during its coming of age ritual, which was absolutely that calls for where you pledge to the great cause of socialism and will defend it against all imperialist attacks.
Fun.
Well, I gotta say, Whisp, that they were very loyal to that.
Yeah, but dude, what? I'm sorry. I can't stand these duplicitous, hypocritical communists.
Okay.
Suddenly the thing is bad because it's currently not done by the right side of politics. That's basically what he says. The moment the country he's in will be ruled by communists openly with a red flag, with a hammer and sickle on it, and maybe a yellow star or two, he will be all for this shit.
I thought he was going to bring up the architecture of the Romans or whatever emperor or empire that was.
I don't even know why he showed Germany.
Yeah.
Germany currently doesn't have any of this. In East Germany, they still do this coming of age crap as a slightly distanced copy from what the communists did. But really, the way I'm just skimming through the article on Wikipedia of what's described there of as preparation for this. It's supposed to be a officially taking you into the circle of adults, like around 16, and it speaks of there are programs where you get to meet different people, and that helps you get questioning things you believe, to more question things in general, and so on. And we did none of that. We were just told to stand on a stage, then some old fart mumbled something into your ear that's supposed to be some line of wisdom. I had no idea what that guy was saying. And then you eat something at a big dinner table, and then you go home. And it was absolutely an absolute waste of time. I fucking hated it.
Well, you're indoctrinated, so that's how it goes.
Apparently. I mean, if that's how indoctrination works, it's probably not doing too much harm.
You're a government shill for eating that bread they gave you.
No. Oh, no, we had to pay for it.
Oh, God. Of course, just like the government. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And all wear nice clothes and all of that shit.
The United States demanded by the pledge is similar to the dull obedience of never questioning having to recite the pledge in the first place. The circular logic of it confuses the people into never...
What is he talking about? The circular logic of never questioning a pledge, and the pledge adheres to allegiance, therefore you're never going to question it? It's like, what?
He's just
Is he going to continue to the ring theory?
He's just complaining that it's not a pro-communist thing, that it's not North and South Korea.
Is it even remotely possible that some people grew up in a country and they're proud of being native to that country? Is like, that's so hard to believe. That has nothing to do with a pledge or an anthem. Or...
What? You can like the place you grew up in? What?
Maybe.
What? I think everywhere is shit. That's why we all have to immigrate to the European countries. Oh wait, we live in those.
Oh.
But they're also shit because they're all fascist and oppressive, and that's why we need to move to the moon. Yes.
Only place capitalism is not infected.
Yeah, there's also no atmosphere there that can oppress you.
Oh. Well then. Okay.
Questioning it. The pledge says the United States is good. The pledge says obedience is good. Therefore, obedience to the United States is good. And I know the United States is good because
My God,
the
blow
pledge
your
says
nose.
so. I know the pledge is good because it's a pledge to the United States, which I know is good. And yeah,
What?
I'm talking about Forrest Gump here.
He's being retarded. He's being more retarded than he actually is.
Yeah, that sounds retarded.
What are American values?
You know, Forrest Gump is not as
They may
retarded
seem
as you are.
nebulous, and indeed that is part of the appeal of those who employ the term. Its malleability allows for those using the term to never be wrong. However, it would be reasonable to say that some values are given priority or rightness over others, creating the rightness of the status quo. Such values include a belief in Christianity and the prioritization of Christianity over other religions.
Have you found Jesus yet, Dunn?
I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir.
Another is the goodness of the
Great
United
line.
States military and the otherness of foreign military powers.
But instead, they decided the best way for me to fight the communists was to play ping pong.
Another still is the necessity of capitalism, opportunity, and the American dream, as well as the otherness of socialism.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the otherness of socialism is a good thing, because it's shit. It oppresses people in all the ways that you complain about.
Let me just... Have you guys read this allegiance? It's very small. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's it. That takes 10 seconds.
Such evil things. Oh my God, I can't say that loud.
Liberty and justice for all is somehow indoctrinated. Like, what? I want everyone to be free in this country. Yes, we all agree.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great stuff. It's really the only thing anyone could take umbrage with is the God part. But
Yeah.
even that, I'm able to look past,
And even
because
then,
it comes from a different time. And seriously, most atheists really are agnostics. It's just that in the United States, people are so crazy and as a reaction to the absolutely crazy Christians that you have.
right. And there's even the articles of dissolution, or if you don't like the unity or the union between the states, or whatever the groups are, however they organize the states. I know it's a bit more complicated than other places in Europe. There are ways to break away from that.
Well, the Pledge of Allegiance also reminds people that the United States is not primarily a democracy, but primarily a republic.
Right. So I don't see this as being this weird thing. If hey guys, this union isn't working, we should do something about that. We've had separatist movements all throughout pretty much every country that they just don't like the way things are going, whether it's in the east or the north or the south. For Canada, we have Alberta and Quebec. They have their own movements. I'm sure there's all kinds.
I think the United States would be better off if you take giant buzz saws, cut out California, and kick it off into the sea.
Naturally, it's going to happen anyway, so I don't know if that's a problem. But yeah.
Well, if the global warming people are right, yeah,
You're right.
that will be a problem that solves itself.
There we go.
However, they don't seem very keen on leaving.
Yeah.
They are
That
leaving.
scared.
They are leaving to other states like Texas.
Yeah, but it's largely Republicans that are leaving. Austin is already blue. It's because it's a city.
Anyway, what a horrible thing for these kids to say, to take up 10 seconds of their life every morning. It's just so bad. So wrong. Oh my God. To teach kids to memorize something which has some really big meaning in their lives. Yeah, whatever.
You know, and honestly, if you have to have one, I'd rather have that one than a bullshit socialist one, where it calls to arms against the enemies of socialism beyond the what was it called? The anti-fascist protection bulwark.
Okay.
That was the name for the Berlin Wall.
Oh, really?
The anti-fascist protection bulwark.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
Totally wasn't a prison wall.
The necessity of capitalism, condemnation of socialism, and promotion of the American dream. I don't know where he's going with this. I didn't know there were 2 points.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
Where did we miss the first 2 points? Was I not listening to this guy? Or were we just doing our own thing and just...
Well, for him, capitalism is something evil. That's why it's okay to be listed. It's not just a natural thing that happens. For him, it's something humans have invented, and therefore, and it ruins everything. But bloody projection.
Yeah. Let's try a different economic model. We have.
We got more money than Davy Crockett.
Obedience to these values, this status quo, is preferable to opposition to these values. These values are so unquestioned that obedience is not
Has he read the
political,
entire thing,
but
by the way?
instead apolitical, whereas only opposition to these values is considered political. This, of course, is nonsense.
You're projecting
but that's
again.
The beauty of the status quo. Something normal and expected has the benefit of being unquestioned, and therefore natural. Nothing that upsets the order of things. Disobedience is considered radical and unwelcome, something that is frequently asserted by the text of Forrest Gump. In this 1994 film, Gump, played by Tom Hanks...
Yeah, good you showed the Black Panthers there, the bloody communists.
Right.
Because to them, being for communism is completely natural. And not being for that is unnatural and chaotic and even more political than them being for it. Yes, thank you for showing that very clip. I don't know if you were aware that you were shooting yourself in the foot again.
And plus that scene was done primarily for laughs and to show how much Forrest loves Jenny. So it has political backdrops in all these scenes.
If you read the book, there's even more silly stuff. He's basically Homer Simpson in space.
Oh.
So the movie adaptation is relatively grounded for the material it came from.
I should probably read the book.
Which I think is good. I think it makes it a better movie.
I know there was a sequel which was interesting, and I didn't
really.
A book sequel, not a movie sequel. And Forrest has a kid, and I think the kid is smart, and that's the whole premise of raising this kid. But I didn't read it yet, so I don't know.
In American history. As a youth, he forms a friendship with a young girl named Jenny, who he knows his whole life. Gump is a little slow on the uptake, but his trust in others and obedience take him far in life. Gump is an exceptional football player, even if he needs to be told when to stop. His athleticism grants him a football scholarship, and he graduates college. He is recruited to join the military, something he does on a whim. His obedience makes him an excellent private, and his trust in Jenny has him run away.
Yeah, it also makes him a detrimental private in that he has to be told everything because he has trouble thinking for himself in tough situations.
Right.
Because he's basically one of McNamara's idiots. His IQ is just too low.
Right. And in that regards, he is a very good friend. He all his social skills are pretty much straightforward. They're nothing complicated. He's not going to deceive you. He doesn't have the intelligence or the guile to do so. So if you need him to do something,
which is
he'll
true
do it.
for most of these types of people.
Right.
They're wonderfully friendly people, but you can't give them complex tasks. You can give them simple tasks, and they will do them with to an absolutely wonderful level of quality. You clean this room, and they will clean it to a level of that you can eat from the floor or have an operation on the floor.
Right.
But you can't give them orders like, you're on guard duty tonight, don't let anybody in. And they will not let anybody in, and if it's an officer, if it's a general who wants to get in, they will shoot that person. And that is what happened.
I do like the scene where he's timed on putting his gun together to put the clip in the gun and load it and all that stuff. And he breaks all these records because he just does it so quickly, which is...
Yeah, Forrest Gump is a bit of a fantasy character in that he is at one point retarded, but also a savant, yet functional. and that doesn't happen.
Right. So he has these really amazing hand-eye coordination skills. He's really good at ping pong. He's really good at fighting if he has to fight someone. Doing anything mechanically with his hands, he's really good. And that's sort of his gift. Aside from running. Running is, okay, he's really strong legs. Okay, cool.
Well, simply, it's just point direction, go.
Yeah.
Doesn't need much thought. It's
so the
just,
fact that he could carry a 220-pound man or whatever, and then another 220-pound man in a war zone is like, okay, he's a good soldier.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. And Renegade Cut could have saved us all this explanation of who Trump is by just playing Weird Al Yankovic's song about him.
Really?
He's Trump, he's kinda square. Not Trump. Gump.
Gump, yeah.
God. It's late.
When his platoon is attacked by the North Vietnamese, once safe, he is able to run back and rescue his platoon. Gump discovers that he's a prodigy at ping pong, the repetition being completely natural to him. This success allows him to buy a boat and start a shrimping business. Gump's reliance on obedience, repetition, acceptance of the status quo, and a complete lack of interest in upsetting the status quo eventually leads him to becoming a millionaire and an American hero. In contrast, Jenny bucks tradition, joins the New Left, associates with the Black Panthers, protests the war in Vietnam, participates in the counterculture of the...
Yeah, and it makes her a complete failure in life. Associating with left-wing shit makes her a complete failure in life.
Yeah,
he totally missed out the part where like Jenny just like walked away from Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
like without even telling him a word.
Forrest is not interested
twice or even thrice.
Yeah, he's not into whatever this group is or what politics. He doesn't care. He doesn't even know what the politics are. He's just there because Jenny's there.
He's entirely oblivious to all of this political nonsense. He's just there to help people. And it was such a nice moment when he went back to his captain or sergeant. I don't remember. But like he helped him out. The sergeant was mad at him for like letting him live with the kind of state that he was in. But he actually helped him out to become like much more in life. That was like such a beautiful message. And he completed the dream of a friend of his that passed away in Vietnam.
Yeah, Bubba and Lieutenant Dan was the guy. That was his leader. So he saw him after the war. And he just hung out with him. He just kept him going and put him on his boat.
Yeah.
And they started fishing, and it was great. And it was this great.
It's a really silly series of coincidences, but it works, and it's such a lovely story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if anything. You could say Trump. I keep saying Trump. Why do you keep saying Trump? Gump is. You could see him as a personification of good principles. That's all he is. There's not much thought to it. It's just this is a guy with solid principles that he doesn't go against because he can't. Forrest is not smart enough for that. I'm not even sure if he's smart enough to lie. I don't think he can lie. Did he ever lie in a movie?
Not at all. Not a single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I just find it so funny that Jenny, an absolute selfish asshole who keeps destroying her life by associating with the wrong people, the wrong political side, just makes her life into an absolute mess and hell, and even ends up a single mom. As she is addicted to drugs. She is about to jump off a balcony at some point. She hangs around with communists, which is just this actual slippery slope downward, not a fallacy, but an actual one. It's just absolutely astonishing.
I always saw Jenny as the antagonist of the story.
You could say so, yeah. Because he's chasing after a girl that he still sees as this innocent good girl that once was nice to him. And that's all he sees. That's all he believes, because he never saw, even then, even in her being shitty, he doesn't understand that she's being shitty to him when she's an adult. So he keeps being kind to her and forgiving and everything else. And she doesn't appreciate it, of course, because he probably because he's retarded.
Yeah, a good example is that when they're in the strip club, and he just sees Jenny as her dream. She's a singer on stage, like, whoa, she's singing, it's amazing, and she's butt naked, hiding behind her guitar.
Yeah, and it's just this Forrest is just absolutely innocent.
Yeah,
it's the most innocent soul on the planet.
Time,
and that's inspiring people on top
hardship,
of that.
Disease, and eventually an early death. Jenny is a radical, disobedient to American values. There are only 2 times when Jenny is truly
I wouldn't call that radical.
Yeah,
I think she's just completely lost. A radical has foundation, a principle, and a direction he moves in from and in. And Jenny does not have that. Jenny is just a random chaotic thing that is thrown around by the currents of life, by whichever ever allows her to indulge herself.
Yeah, the civil disobedience.
That's not a radical. That's just a pile of trash.
The civil disobedience, or speaking your mind, is very ingrained in American culture, and that's why we had the peaceful. I'd say Woodstock and all these other peace movements in the 70s, and she was part of that. And for whatever reason, she's ingrained and she enjoys that culture. And outside of her personality, like, this was happening in the 70s, not just in America, but that's where it originated. So I don't see how going against the Vietnam War makes her a rebel, because a lot of America was like, why are we there? What's going on?
It was basically mainstream.
It was mainstream.
League Against Vietnam was mainstream.
Yeah, it wasn't just a small sect of America. This was like, no. The world was like, why are you guys there? What is happening? All these people are dying. You're spending all this money for what in life?
And you're not even finishing the job.
Yeah, they didn't even get... but luckily Ronald Reagan pulled out and all that crap. So this is a whole history of the 70s and how it came to be. So I wouldn't say she's a rebel. I just don't think she made very good life choices.
happy. First, whenever she is with Forrest. He represents stability, obedience, the status quo, American values. The film shows us this leads to happiness, and it also means Forrest represents what Jenny is battling. Jenny drifts in and out of Forrest's life, checking in on each other but never staying together for long. Second, Jenny is happy when she finally accepts a traditional lifestyle. She has a job as a waitress
she
in a diner.
doesn't look happy.
What could be more American?
That didn't look
She
happy.
has a roof over her head and a child fathered by
She
Forrest
looks worn
unbeknownst
out.
to him. Only by abandoning her radical politics and the counterculture does Jenny find happiness. Unfortunately, it...
Dude. She
Have we watched
didn't
the
look
same
happy
movie?
after that. She looked tired, worn out. She just wanted quiet in her life, and she had a kid to care for. Once you have a kid, I know Renegade Cut, it's very difficult to understand for someone unempathetic and childless like you. But when you have a kid, and you give a shit about that kid, which normal people do, by the way, you stop all this bullshit in your life that destroys you, takes away your attention, takes away your resources, and you focus all of that into your child.
And this is one of the reasons why we sort of dislike Jenny, because she doesn't tell what's going. She doesn't tell the father of her child what's going on, which is like what? Like, why would you not tell this guy who apparently loves you, and obviously he's not very smart, but for whatever reason you love the guy. You should tell him, hey, yeah, you got a kid, and I'm working for him, and it's like, whoa, really?
The most moving moment in this movie is right about that. These end moments with Jenny, when Forrest asks her. I don't know the exact words anymore, but he asks her whether his son is smart or dumb, and she says no, he's smart, and Forrest is moved.
Yeah, that's the
and
one
it's
thing.
This really, really subtle.
Yeah,
there's a really subtle shift in him. It's amazingly well acted, and you can very easily miss it if you don't pay attention.
Because that's the one thing that he's sensitive about.
Because Forrest understands his own situation to a degree.
Because he's pretty much just going along. He's just the ball that gets the story rolling, and he's just the avatar, just sitting there, doing like just on the sideline with us, just watching stuff happen. And then when he finally gets to Jenny, and he says, Jenny, I know what love is. I may not be very smart, but I know what love is. It's like, oh, okay, he does love Jenny. Of course he loves Jenny. And Jenny, duh, of course she figures this out. And then this other scene with realizing he has a kid that is not like him. That means something to Forrest. And we know that means something to Forrest. Because Forrest has just been we've just been going along the ride with him the entire time when crazy stuff happens. So this is where it sort of comes back down to earth. And it gets more dramatic and more serious outside of all the political stuff.
It's too late, as she is dying. The film never explicitly says so, but since Jenny says she is dying from an unknown virus in 1981, the implication is that she is HIV positive. Within the context of the film, Jenny has been punished for her lifestyle. That's not to say that Jenny is an unsympathetic
Wouldn't say
character.
it's so, it's just
Nobody
consequences
would
of
accept her
life
as a
choices.
villain, so instead, she is the perfect cautionary tale. A warning about radical politics, about disobedience, about disregarding American values.
No, Jenny is simply an idiot. This is the real joke of the movie.
Yeah, the focus is not Jenny.
If you want to say subversion, because Forrest is the low IQ guy, but Jenny, who is a completely average girl with a normal, probably average IQ, she makes all the dumbest decisions possible. She is the idiot, not Forrest. Forrest is not the idiot in the movie. Jenny is the idiot. And he wants to tell us that this is the implication I get, because we know Renegade Cut's background. He wants to somehow frame this as choosing communist revolutionaries is not a dumb decision.
I'm not sure where he's going with this. Yeah, I'm a little confused, because he started off talking about the Pledge of Allegiance is bad, and then here's Forrest doing that, which is good, and Jenny is the other example of which is not good. So I'm kind of lost with.
And Forrest is not necessarily having the most normal of lives anyway.
No, he's
like he pulls some stunts that absolutely nobody would ever come to.
Yeah.
With the most harmless ones being his. Oh, he just started running for what, a year and a half. Or something?
He just felt
and
like
had this whole cult grow around him that he neither noticed nor cared about. And then he just stopped, and everybody was like, "What? What? You going home? What?"
Yeah.
And I think it's what you can see in Forrest's seemingly chaotic but positive course of life is that all these special things he did were the product of him being in places you would normally not end up in as a normal person if you didn't show courage. Forrest doesn't need the courage, he just does things because he doesn't understand enough. But a normal person would need to get over himself or over herself to do the amazing things Forrest does. Saving all his comrades, immense courage. Just starting a business with this shrimp thing, extreme courage. Getting back together with Officer Dan and building him up, that requires tons of courage. As down and broken and self-destructive as he's become, Forrest just does it. A normal person would need immense courage and persistence and energy and a lot more things.
Yeah, it's like he's been taught to be nice to people, and he just is.
Even the running thing. Any normal person would need not just courage but conviction to say, "I'm just going to run now." Income? I don't know. What happens to my stuff at home? I don't know. I'm just gonna run, and I run until I'm just fed up with it. And I'm going for over a year, and I run across the whole country. And once I'm at the other end, I'm just gonna run back the other way. And you'd need to be absolutely convicted of this plan. Normal people need to do this as a plan or something. Forrest doesn't, and this is the thing. He's inspiring people to do these things. And that is also the what this cult is that follows him on his marathon. They are inspired by him to just do the same thing. They just couldn't do it by themselves. They couldn't get their asses up themselves. But we all can be Forrest Gump, not in the sense of being retarded, in a way we all are, because we are not getting our asses up and just doing these amazing things.
Yeah. It's kind
because we lack the courage.
It's kind of
we
like...
need the courage. He doesn't need the courage. He just does it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a superhero. He has this innate drive, which he doesn't contemplate. He just does stuff. And he happens to be in the right place at the right time for some rather unique and funny moments with presidents and wars and, you know, pulling in a whole bunch of shrimp just because God said so. So there's a lot of lucky moments that don't make any sense, but hey, you know, these things do happen. And that's how fortunes are made. That's how lives are made. That's how love is sometimes found. So this could very well have occurred. It's just enough for you to go, yeah, that's highly unlikely, but for Forrest, you just think about
story.
Yeah.
Every one of these chapters of Forrest Gump's life story is by itself something that happened to someone for real. Even his war story of rescuing all those other soldiers. We've had those in World War One. I forgot the name of the guy. But it's if you would make a movie about him, it would look like a completely unbelievable fantasy story.
Yeah. And
all of these other things.
All right.
Is a life of one person.
I got to read some donations. I totally forgot. 4 big guys. Thank you. That was an hour ago, but I'm doing it now. There's a term going around the web called gumping it, which means to have sex with someone who's not quite mentally disabled, but almost. Knowing this, would gumping it be ethical? That's a good question.
I don't know. A lot of people marry those women.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever been in that scenario, so I can't say. Yeah, I don't think too many people I know would be attracted to men or women who aren't that intelligent. Like they like to talk to their people before they have strong ties to them. So I don't know. Maybe there are some guys and girls out there who don't care how smart you are. It's possible. The other one is Tyler Preston. Thanks for the one. The entire movie has been critical of American culture as we see throughout the entire film. It's just a bit more subtle about it. Not having a character stare into the camera and say, America's bad, okay? It shows America's change over the decades. Yeah, it's almost like a period piece of just key moments in America's history, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 7.
Yeah, and what you can say is that the American lifestyle of liberty and the American dream and all of that, it allows for a story like Forrest's, or at least the chapters of it, to happen.
Yeah. It's great stuff.
Other countries, hard to say.
Yeah, I could not imagine this being a Canadian Forrest Gump story. Wouldn't work very well. All right.
Forrest
And
Gump,
one summer,
movie,
I drank
the
20 gallons of maple syrup.
Conservative or liberal film by the mistaken American standards that have people believe they are far apart on the political spectrum. Instead, Forrest Gump is an anti-radical film, an anti-leftist film. It dismisses or condemns the politics of the left of liberalism.
I really don't think it is.
I me neither. But if he sees it that way, okay, good.
Good.
If you really think this movie de-radicalizes communist kids, then we should show it to everyone.
There are political moments, obviously, and scenes with politicians, of course, but that's not the message of the film at all. Anyway, Vladimir Dragunov, thanks. Would TROS be funnier if Funny Mustache German appeared as a Force ghost with Luke and Leia? Yes, it would be funnier. That's automatically
much better.
No question.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the movie would even make more sense.
You may as well. You could add as many Force ghosts as you want.
We won't know until it happens.
Apparently,
Palpatine was only a puppet for me.
yeah. Apparently,
I was behind it all.
they hired
I
all
will
these.
get back to that university.
Yes, I traveled back in time into this faraway galaxy.
If they could hire a bunch of voice actors just to have that one few words at the end there, it's like they could pull in anyone. It doesn't really matter at that point. They could just do anything. Someone could pop up. I'm a Force Ghost. Okay, sure, whatever.
It doesn't really matter if the filmmakers meant it this way or not, and their denial would not change the events of the film. What Robert Zemeckis really believes is not relevant to this topic. In fact, accidentally making a film that reaffirms American values and denounces un-American values is the byproduct of these values being an invisible status quo in society. We acknowledge them as a given, a truism. We participate in them, we accept them, we promote them, because we have been conditioned to believe they are natural and normal rather than the product of indoctrination and propaganda. A filmmaker can make a war movie with American heroes saving the day and claim the movie is apolitical because American soldiers being heroes and the American military...
Did he mean apolitical, or did he say apolitical, so that he can later say B something else and C the next thing?
No. There's way too much thought put into that.
Did he really mean the war thing is apolitical?
Yes, I think he did.
He's insane.
He's
absolutely insane.
Let's not go for the...
He's either really, really dumb or really, really insane.
Yeah, let's not go for the legal definition. There's something else going on in Renegade Cut's mind. I know.
From all the things we have seen with Renegade Cut, I wouldn't put it aside him that he's dumber than Forrest Gump.
Oh.
Well. Is what he's saying, is that rational or irrational?
In his world,
I don't know. Let's just go.
Yeah, in his world, it's perfectly rational. Let's just say that.
Yeah. That's it for everyone.
Oh, it's true.
Being the good guys are understood as unassailable truths in the United States. Nevertheless, it is political regardless of intent toward remaining apolitical or ignorance about being apolitical. Forrest Gump is the embodiment of this falsely apolitical status quo.
Shut the fuck up about it. I want to hear about American values.
Offering various political causes as the possible reason, but Forrest quickly responds that he felt like running.
Bloody hell.
Yes.
Bloody hell. You talk about this shit and show us his running scenes. His running scenes are the most apolitical thing possible because all he does is run for himself.
Did he miss all the context that Forrest was feeling at the moment? Because my memory is not as good with this movie because it's been like a decade since the last time I saw it in full. But he decides to do this right after Jenny leaves him for the second time, I believe. Because he just feels like he just needs to run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's on his porch.
He does it for like 2 years, is he?
About that, yeah, I think so. And then he just stops, and the guys behind him are like, what? It's like, I've been running for a long time. I'm going to go home now. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. He didn't have anything behind it.
Yeah.
I just noticed something. The people on the lower, even the middle ranks in the stadium, they can't see the center of the arena because all this communist shrine shit is there. They're just looking they're just looking at walls.
Yeah.
They didn't quite think about it when they CGI'd those people there.
Yeah. Never mind the...
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it's in China, it doesn't matter because the people are just there to look like it's full, not for them to actually see what's going on. They're just there to cheer.
Especially the people behind the Mao.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Mao painting on the other side as well, so they could stare at Mao all day.
Nah, that's too expensive.
Oh, okay.
We can't afford that much paint.
In another scene, Forrest remarks, "World peace was within our hands, but I just played ping pong." The film consistently and repeatedly makes two assertions. One, that obedience to American values leads to happiness and prosperity. Two, disobedience to American values leads to unhappiness and tragedy.
Being a terrible human being leads to unhappiness.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that's...
Have you... he still missed the point where Jenny just leaves Forrest to just by himself. 3 times, even.
Yeah,
not a single time have you mentioned that.
Yeah, and Mark, you put it well before. That Jenny is also free to choose everything. That's her liberty.
Yeah.
The United States allows that. The United States isn't forcing her to do exactly as she's told by the state, which is what would happen under socialist rule. She is free to wreck her life. If anything, they're both the product of the free society. They just choose differently.
Yeah.
The irony is that like Forrest started the entire story with a major disadvantage, like both mentally and physically, and he overcame like the physical. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah. And the mental one, like he constituted with like how loyal he is to his friends, and how much hardworking he is.
Yeah, he believes
that's
in
interesting.
family very strongly. His mom, his friend Jenny, his friend Bubba, and Lieutenant Dan. Like that's it. That's his world.
Thank God the mother character, because like if the mother character wasn't there, like then this movie would have been like a fucking dark thing.
Mm-hmm. And for him, all these people who are important to him are essentially his family. The Renegade Cut, as the socialist, should love this chosen family theme of this, but he's glossing over that. And yeah, you're completely right. Forrest is starting at an extreme disadvantage, works himself through that, so he's technically in a way a meritocratic character, though not completely intentional. He just does what he's told by his mother to always keep running. And that's what he does. He runs through life, but in a positive way. He's not running just away, he's running forward. And Jenny has a good start in life, but she's completely lazy about it.
Yeah.
It's essentially a fairy tale.
Yeah.
This is do you know Frau Holle?
No.
Probably has a different name in Hungary, but I think it also exists there. The old woman in the sky, again? Frau Holle, Miss Holle.
Oh yeah. I know the story. Yes.
The old grandma in the sky that makes
she falls in a well, right? And like isekais herself to a different place.
Yeah, she isekais herself into the sky by falling into a well. The two sisters, and the Golden Mary. She does all the chores up in the sky on the clouds, like taking the bread out of the oven, shaking the tree so that the fruit falls off, and all of that, and helps Frau Holle, Mrs. Holle, the old grandma in the sky, to also shake out her bed sheets, which is where the feathers fall out, and those feathers become the snow down on our world. And then she goes home, and as she leaves, she is showered in gold. And
then
the
other girl gets star on herself with the feathers too.
Yeah, because her lazy, greedy sister also wants to be showered in gold, so she jumps into the well deliberately, ignores all the chores on the way. She leaves the bread in the oven so it burns. She doesn't shake the tree, so it is in pain, and also doesn't shake out the bed sheets. And Frau Holle is of course a bit pissed about that. Misery Mary leaves again, and she's showered in tar, and is pissed that she's now forever, for the rest of her life, covered in tar. And Forrest is Golden Mary, and Jenny is, up until she comes on, up until she has the kid, she's Tar Mary, Misery Mary.
Yeah, except for the end. Like I think the final 10 minutes of this movie is when Jenny finally realizes that like she fucked up and apologizes to Forrest, at least. I think so, at least.
Yeah, but this is where Renegade Cut gets it wrong, because he doesn't understand how humans work. That she is not happy, she is just exhausted, she's tired. She never comes across as happy at the end, just as, okay, the shit is over. I'm out of hell. But I have duties, and I'm working my ass off for my child. Look at this frame. Does she look happy?
No. All she has on her mind at this point is to pass the kid to Forrest, and that's bad.
Oh, isn't she dying at the end?
Yes.
Oh yeah, she does.
That's the final thing that the kid. Well, he needs to bring a kid up himself, and he waits for the kid at the bus station.
Man, this movie is so fucking sad.
It is.
It's a.
And by the way, just on a side note, because SJWs always talk about PTSD in a way that they have no clue about it, and it comes across like they're making fun of it almost, while they try to be activists for it, because they all claim to have it when they don't. Officer Dan in this movie is such a perfect display of PTSD. It is astonishing. If you want a refresher or a good display of a portrayal of that, rewatch the movie and really watch Officer Dan. That's all.
Yeah, it is kind of sad because well, after that, when Jenny does tell Forrest that she's dying, she also asks him to marry him, and of course Forrest says yes. It's a strange thing. It's just like, okay, well, obviously you love the girl, and you don't care. Like this is how.
Well, by doing the marriage, he ensures that he gets the kid.
Right, and Forrest is like, well, he's gonna do whatever for Jenny anyway. So it's like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. So it's the one good thing in her life is Forrest, which is she finally realizes of all the screw ups she's done.
And she can probably see that this retard somehow only had amazing things in his life. I don't know how, but if there is a chance for this kid that is his, it is as unbelievable as it sounds. He's probably better off with Forrest than with some random person in the foster care system or whatever else. And that's the conclusion you have to come to at the end. Because she knew about what Forrest went through, because Forrest was in the news all the time.
All right.
This can come in a variety of ways, and throughout the narrative of Forrest Gump, we see it reoccur, with each of the most cherished American values upheld and disobedience to these values punished. Let's start with a big one.
What?
That wasn't the glorification of the military.
Straight out of
bloody
college,
idiot.
Forrest is recruited into the military. His voluntary recruitment sidesteps the issue of the draft altogether. Glorification of the U.S. military is undoubtedly...
What you're doing there is not a draft. Voluntarily joining the military is not a draft. You bloody idiot. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe
the guy is a native speaker.
There are some really great. There's some CCR music, I think, plays on when they're flying around in the helicopters. This is standard stuff. If you're going to talk about America, you're going to talk about war. You're going to talk about Vietnam. And this is
we should start a checklist with 2 columns, and we always make a line, make a whatever. I don't know what you call that in English. Make a dent in it for when he's saying something absolutely insane, and when he's saying something absolutely retarded, dumb, that shows that he has nothing in his head. And I want to know where we end up with which side wins.
But Wisp, like the thing that he just said was so retarded. I'm actually thinking about something much cooler. Like, how about Forrest Gump and Full Metal Jacket is in the same universe?
Ooh.
Like, if Forrest Gump meets the drill sergeant.
Yeah, but the drill sergeant would love him because Forrest Gump would just do everything he said, and amazingly. So,
if Forrest Gump had to be in the same unit as Private Pal.
Oh boy!
Didn't Malcolm in the Middle play that out with Reese?
Yes.
And also showed the downside of that.
But yeah, all the Vietnam scene is for is that Forrest just happens to be there because it's the time period. Yeah. It's happening, so you have to have it in the movie in some way.
Yeah, and it shows how horrible the whole Vietnam operation is. and how dumb it is.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't say that this is like the right thing for them to do. What he displays is heroism, that like he saves whoever he can in that battlefield that they got in the jungle.
Yeah, if anything, that's an anti-war movie.
Yes.
And you don't glorify
doesn't
war
he, like,
by
when he
showing
returns to the US, he participates in a civil rights movement?
Yeah, and I think what Renegade Cut and his ilk think is that if you show war scenes, like soldiers moving through the field with their guns, that is immediately automatically glorifying war.
Yeah.
When in reality, you show the horrors of war in order to show people you do not want this to happen. You do not want to be there. This is not glory. This is hell, where you lose the people closest to you, that you've grown close to. And the whole hell Lieutenant Dan goes through. Like, he doesn't even want to be saved. He wants, if anything, he wants to die like his ancestors in the field, and instead Forrest saves him, and he doesn't even have legs at the end. Like, this is being saved is the worst for Lieutenant Dan. And it takes years for him to overcome that with Forrest's help after they reunite. And he doesn't even want to reunite with Forrest. It's just Forrest's retarded persistence that allows for that. Which I said before, anyone not like Forrest would need a hell of a lot of courage to be like that. This is not glorifying war. This guy's insane and dumb at the same time.
I do remember the scene where he reunites with Jenny, and he has to they ask him to talk in front of the monument, and some guy is playing around with the speakers. So when Forrest is speaking, the speaker just turns off or whatever, and he's just talking. And by the time they get it back together, Jenny sees him, and that's where the scene where he's running through the water, the monument. And he reunites with Jenny, and Jenny's she's free spirited. She runs through the water. It doesn't matter. So
yeah, and that's a beautiful scene because these two sides, military and peace protesters. Peace protester sounds like a really like the opposite, like you're protesting against peace. But the soldier and the hippie girl are running towards each other, happy to see each other.
Right, and this
is a beautiful moment.
If they wanted this story to be about war, they would have had Forrest say something that would be like, war is bad, da da da. But they did it for laughs instead. And
I don't even know like how much time does the Vietnam scene consume, because Forrest does so many things in this movie.
Yeah,
it's relatively long. You have the whole setup, how he gets to Vietnam, then he's in the camp, then it's showing at least 2 excursions, and then with his telling of the weather for one, and then of course the high point with the attack on them and Forrest doing this heroic stuff.
Yeah, but like if you don't, I might remember it wrong, but like I don't remember seeing like Forrest kill people in this movie.
No.
Yeah. So how? Oh my god! How do you glorify war if you don't even show someone being killed by that side that you like propose to be the good
you're
guys?
Right. It's pretty much his unit getting destroyed and he's just saving people. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
If this is supposed to be a propaganda, then this is like the absolute worst of war propaganda forever.
If it's propaganda, it's anti-war propaganda.
Yeah.
Because all it shows, our guys get killed, and we're lucky if we have someone like Forrest there who pulls us out alive.
A cross-party, cross-political American value. Controversial and catastrophic wars can be dismissed not with carefully constructed arguments, but with slogans. Freedom is
look at these scenes. Like all of them are displaying that like this was a horrible experience to go through, and like he wasn't even sure that he's gonna come out from it Because like he did had no idea about.
He is also falsely equating government decisions and government actions with American values. So he's conflating nationalism with patriotism here. American values, if you are for American values, that's patriotism. If you blindly follow what your government tells you, that's nationalism. The decisions and actions of your government can be against the values of your nation.
Yeah.
And the patriot will then criticize the government and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" and start a protest. You could say that's what the hippies did.
All right, let's go.
Neither of these empty phrases take into account the loss of both American and foreign lives, but because glorification of the military is status quo among the American population, an ideology need only fit on a bumper sticker to get its point across. Apologists would claim that all countries do this and that the United States is not unique in its military glorification. This is false for
Germany
three
definitely
reasons.
doesn't.
1. Public confidence in the military varies by country. There are similar numbers in the United States.
Thank you for pausing. What trust in the media, parliament, and banks varies. Most Western Europeans say they trust their military. Yes, and the Germans trust their military mainly due to the draft and most men having been through it, and they know what's going on. However, that is for one waning, and we have absolutely the most shitty politicians in regards to our military that are just destroying it by the most dumb decisions, financial and otherwise. However, the German military is, when it's in other countries, mostly seen as a force for hope and stability, which is, I find, absolutely stunning, and that is never told here. Our media does never talk about the German military and its achievements or its problems. It never does. It's never mentioned. And this is another important thing, because socialists, and especially I think in outside Germany, are equating the Iron Cross with Nazis and Nazis only. The Iron Cross was the symbol of the German military before the Nazis and still is. Our tanks
Wasn't
still
it
have
from Prussia as well, or was it like German invention?
Yes. No, it's Prussian, as far as I recall, and it is still on German tanks and vehicles. And one of the absolutely astounding things, and that only came up publicly when the discussion started of reinstating the Iron Cross as a Medal of Honor again in Germany. That was in the early 2000s. The first ones were awarded to Americans as well, as it was a joint operation, I think. Because one of the arguments for it, because the left was of course against it, because Iron Cross, Nazis have touched it, so it has the Nazi cootie, so nobody may ever use it again. One of the pro arguments was that people in crisis areas that are in unstable places where the German military operates see the Iron Cross and see it as a symbol of hope and safety. And that I think is something we can be proud of, and our military can be proud of. And we're not allowed to mention it because we're instantly called Nazis for it. We're helping foreigners, people really oppressed. And if we mention it, we are called xenophobic Nazis.
I'm kind of curious what they mean by European news media or parliament, because there's all kinds of news media and parliament in Europe. So every single country has their own. Most Western Europeans say they trust their military. It's like, okay, yeah, I would imagine most countries do in general too. So to
Spain is a bit down there.
Yeah, to argue the nuances or percentages, it's like, I don't know what point you're trying to make or what you're getting at here.
It's strange that elected officials have the least trust in the military in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that implies.
That's odd.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay, whatever.
France and the United Kingdom, but significantly different numbers in Spain, Germany, and Scandinavian countries. 2. Public confidence does not equal fetishism. Denmark...
What? public confidence does not equal fetishism. Yeah, you're right. Chocolate does not equal vanilla. Thank you. What's your point?
Oh, I just noticed the French trusts the most in its military. I think there's a joke in there.
Yeah, I know.
But they also have the Foreign Legion there, so I don't know how much that weights on that.
Okay.
Does not have a motion picture industry that consistently pumps out media that promotes the military and inspires recruitment. The United.
Why is that? I think like because Denmark is like barely a. I don't know like how many millions they have, but it's probably around between 10 and 20 million.
The U.S.
compared
is a
to like the
superpower.
United States, which is vastly superior in military.
Yeah, don't underestimate. Don't underestimate Denmark. They have the most effective secret service on the entire planet.
Maybe, but does it outweigh like general military operations?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know because it's so effective. We've never heard of it.
Let's just say Americans know they're the big top dog in the world, so naturally you're going to have some people from Hollywood write some scripts about military stories. It's just, maybe
it's very easy.
They might have some knowledge about militarism. Maybe, I don't know.
The United States does. Sweden does not have a homegrown genre of music that houses a subgenre made to promote any.
What?
Have you seen how Swedes are in 21st century? A complete joke now. Like they, in fact, like I would say, like most of them are embarrassed to be Swedish. It's like, kind of like what is happening in like
the only good thing about Sweden is Sabaton.
Yes, no Europeans are pretty good in metal. I'm gonna say that, but yeah, like it's unfortunately just a minority. It's just coming trend is that like you have to be embarrassed to be like what your country used to stand for, because like all these countries were fucking badass in like the 17th or 18th century, and like all of a sudden you get all these crazy lunatics into the parliament, and they dictate like what kind of laws there should be. And it just drops. Like the testosterone levels just drop by 200%.
Yeah, and you can just see what parties are elected, what parties are in power, and how that changes the population, because by the laws and policies they enact and what they push into the schools. Stay away from the red parties. They do that. That's what happened to.
Or the green ones.
Well, the green ones are just red with a paint job.
I'm not sure why we're comparing the American military to various European countries. Like, what's the point?
Various 10 million population European countries.
Yeah.
Yes. His main audience is American. Americans do not know anything about Europe.
Okay, so
like, he can just talk shit, complete nonsense about something he has absolutely no clue about, and that will not be a detriment to his video for his American socialist audience.
Like, he never thinks about like geopolitically, like where the US stands and like what kind of like territory and population it has. Like if you think about like why Sweden doesn't have that much of a military presence as it used to be, like well, if the Russians would attack, what would happen? Oh yeah, like have to bump into Finland just like in World War II. Okay, they're gonna take care of it. We don't have to get involved with that. We're gonna keep our neutrality with that. If because like we're part of like NATO, someone else is gonna come in here and like save us. Yeah, who's it gonna be? Oh, I don't know, the superpowers that near us.
Yeah, the superpowers that don't give a shit about us.
Yeah, but like because they have written like a legal contract that yes, like we have to get involved with this together. They're gonna do that. That's like also like
in Finland they won't, because Finland is not part of NATO.
Well, Finland is not, but they are trying to push them into it. Like they can, NATO has rights to like practice there, as far as I heard recently.
Okay, and
maybe like the recent Russian thing. I don't want to get into that topic because it's absolutely not for the stream. But like the recent Russian thing is just another push for that.
Yeah, which it's never going to happen with Ukraine though. They're never going to join.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just shooting yourself in the foot. But I think he's going soft on Sweden because he thinks of this nonsensical idea of Norse socialism, which these countries are not socialist. But he's going soft on them.
They are like a welfare state. They should look like what was before the 70s there. it was really fucking depressing. Like even in the 90s, they had like a terrible depression. Like the suicide rates, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Well, they figured out to put vitamin D in dairy products. Since then, it's improved. I'm not kidding. Vitamin D and daylight lamps everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And the suicide rate improved. Yeah.
When your business just fucking fails, I don't know, like vitamin D helps, but yes,
because low vitamin D leads to
I can
depression.
get behind it.
But low vitamin D leads to depression. That's the problem, and that's why we are so pale up here, even in Central Europe. That's why we are this dreadful, oppressive white skin color. Because if we were any darker, our skin would block out too much sun, and we couldn't metabolize vitamin D anymore.
Yeah, we need more orange juice in our diet. That's the way we should be handing out.
No, that's vitamin C.
No, there's vitamin D. There's vitamin D.
Really?
Not yet. Yeah, it's not that.
Well, there's not too many fruits that have vitamin D, but that's one of them. I know that.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing with Sweden is they're one of the biggest weapons exporters in the world.
Ooh.
So take that for militarism.
Okay. Anyway, let's compare America to Sweden. Let's go.
Excuse military interventionism. The United States does. When people from other countries see U.S. military fetishism, they don't remark how it's the same as in their country. Often they are surprised or disturbed.
Did you take
it's
the
one of the
fetishism word
qualities
from
of the
me?
United States, one of the American values that non-Americans find so galling.
Like when I see, okay, like at one point I feel like I was like more like left-leaning, but it's just my upbringing. But like I always saw that like it's like a bit scary that like how many guns US has. But nowadays I have like a complete different view on that. Especially now that like governments can like pretty much decide like whenever they want to have emergency powers. Because it was funny to me that Canadians freaked out that like the government used emergency powers, but my government has used it for 2 years now to enact the COVID measures. And then I realized that like, oh yeah, like you can't really fight back, can't you? Like you have to follow along whatever you want. So saying that, and the other thing is that yes, if a coming war would happen, like the Socialist Party 2 decades ago have erased like drafting entirely, so you don't even have the compulsory 1-year service that you have to do for the military. So we have an entire generation who has no fucking idea like how to be physically fit or even how to use a gun to defend themselves.
Yeah,
like I think the generation is already like in their 50s. Who still had their 40s. Yeah.
And for all the detriments that the military has, that 1-year service teaches a lot of young men what they didn't learn at home because they had shitty mothers and absent fathers. It teaches them to fucking clean your room, make your bed.
Yeah,
wash yourself.
That you hear from the military, because like I understand it's not the kindest place to those half-hearted, but yeah, you learn things. You become tough at least. Like we have like this issue that like these people are like so soft and they eventually can't even defend themselves if like there would be like a huge conflict coming.
I'm trying to remember.
That's what infantilizes the people.
Is it Sweden or Switzerland that gives basic military training and a government-owned rifle in every?
Yes, if you finish your military service in Switzerland, then you receive the firearm, as well. Yeah.
You get to keep your rifle, yes,
right,
but
right.
you have to prove that you are still able to use it and say no once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, target practice, like, come on, that's fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, and that's why you don't want to invade Switzerland. Another reason, because that is really a country where everybody's armed.
Yeah, it's extremely
and not
safe.
just in this gun hoarding. Oh, I have big weapons, but you're really just a couch potato.
Finland too, like they essentially have 2.5 million people in the army because all of those people can go in the war if they want to defend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, regarding this wonderful Norse socialism, When the socialists came into power last time in Finland, I think they're still in power.
They are in power for a long time, Wisp.
Yeah. Also, one of these awesome all young female leadership government bullshit.
I know about
First thing they did. You know how awesome the Finnish education system was. That they said, "Oh, it's so awesome! It gets the most points and stuff." They scrapped it.
Yeah, they scrapped it and
they just scrapped it and
some
replaced
wonderful
it with,
system that they're gonna have a decline right away.
Yeah. With things like, oh, we take 30 kids or more into one class, and they're from different ages, different class groups, and they all sit in a circle on bean bags on the ground on bean bags, and in the center there's two teachers that teach them all equally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
from the best system to this hippie shit.
Yeah,
and
how she was elected, how the current prime minister was elected. Like, she wasn't elected. What happened was the person that was before her decided to step back, and because of rule of thumb, she became prime minister. But she pretty much was a supermarket cashier like 10 years before this. Like, if I don't know, like, what kind of like anime superpower you have to like get that kind of boost, but
be a woman.
Well, not only that, but like, she also has ties with the World Economic Forum, so I think that helps a bit.
Supermarket cashier.
Yes, supermarket cashier, of course.
Anyway,
like, if you want to lead a country, Wisp, you just have to get a job at the local Lidl or Aldi.
It's this young new world leaders bullshit. Like, everyone gets, they take these really dumb people. These are the absolute top tier versions of useful idiots.
Yes, but at least like you can see like a morning message on social media that the prime minister's dog has passed away.
All right. Anyway, let's keep on going.
Third, even if in, say, Switzerland, the population was equally as trusting of and enthusiastic about their military, this Swiss glorification of the military would not have the same consequences as American glorification of the military. Because Switzerland is not a massive military power that participates in catastrophic interventions in other countries, raking in countless civilian casualties, creating millions of refugees.
Yes, they do. They sell chocolate. Like, do you know how much diabetes it costs in the world? Stop neglecting such serious issues here.
And
hey guys,
aside,
you know what?
The whole interventionist crap with all these fake reasons of why they go in, and all this wasteful these wasteful attacks on destruction of civilian lives. That is all to cronies who use people like Renegade Cut.
So we could apply this argument to pretty much every country in the world because they're simply not as big as America militaristically. So what are you trying to tell us, sir, aside from...
He wants the American military to go away so that China can take over. China number one. China be world police.
I don't.
China tell you what to do.
I don't know what
because China's smart.
His argument is, and talking about all these factors. It's like, yeah, they're not America. No one is. You take all the militaries in the world; they're not even coming close to how big America's is. It's true. What's your point?
You know what happens when you, and most problems from America, I would say, stem from the CIA, in regards to foreign policy. But once the American military pulls out, what happens then? You can see in Afghanistan.
Yep.
Is that an improvement, Renegade Cut? On like liberty and women's rights and children not being raped?
Yeah, that power vacuum gets filled up really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Devastating poverty, all for the protection of its economic interests. But the United States is. Forrest is quickly sent to fight in Vietnam. The movie never questions U.S. intervention in the country, why the U.S. military is even there. All that matters
Maybe it's not about that just particular moment in the movie. That's just the setting.
is that Forrest is there and he will obediently do what he is told. In following
Not
Jenny's instructions,
obediently.
he rescues his platoon, saves himself, and receives the Congressional Medal of Honor. Forrest Gump, as well as other American-made Vietnam movies, focus on the tragedy of Vietnam as their tragedy, as their defeat. Indeed, many American servicemen, forcibly drafted or duped into waging a war for U.S. hegemony, tragically perished in Vietnam, an estimated 58,000. However, this is a very small fraction of the total lost in the conflict. Due to the chaotic nature of the conflict and the politicization of the figures by different political entities, estimates of the total casualties, both civilian and military, are in dispute.
And Renegade Cut, can you tell me how many civilians were killed after the Americans pulled out and the communists took over completely?
Enough to make a new country, yes.
He won't mention that. He just puts it in here probably as that this is all the fault of the United States. In a way it is, but he acts as if the communists have absolutely no hand in that. And yeah, we should just give socialism, communism another chance, because it never really had a chance, never really had a chance. It was never given a real chance. It's like was it Kurt Vonnegut said it, the bloody idiot. He wrote one good story in criticism of communist stuff. I never understand how communists who keep believing in communism manage to write a proper dystopian critique of it. I don't know what happened. Do they have a sudden aneurysm where for a month they can think clearly and afterwards they're just back to socialism never had a real chance?
Well, Vonnegut pretty much satirized as much as he could, and as well as himself. So he had some good moments.
But the high estimate puts the figure at well over 3 million lost, the vast majority being Vietnamese, not Americans, as well as millions more who were displaced and became refugees. In the film, the peace movement is portrayed as being unsympathetic to U.S. servicemen, but that is outdated and disproved propaganda. Jenny's boyfriend Wesley calls Forrest a baby killer, something that the popular imaginations...
They're the Black Panthers here. The Black Panthers are radical communists. They will say anything. They despise whatever America does at any given point. They're anti-nationalists for whatever is not communist. So they would say such things.
Surrounding Vietnam claims that the peace movement frequently called servicemen. In truth, this was famously said by one protester who later apologized for it. The peace movement and the New Left were sympathetic to servicemen, as many were drafted and all of them suffered some kind of trauma. The other lie about the peace movement is that they would often spit on returning servicemen, but this was largely disproved years ago. It persists in urban legend, popular culture, half-remembered encounters, and recollections of a friend who says it happened all the time. Forrest Gump portrays the peace movement as misguided at best and heartless at worst. In the film, the peace movement is antithetical to American values, which has the byproduct of portraying interventionism as aligning with American values. Much of the carnage in Vietnam centered around U.S. economic interests in the region, as nearly all U.S. conflicts over the past century have been waged for this purpose, with more superficial and flag-waving justifications played up for the media and populace instead. In yet another moment of the film showing obedience to the status quo and how this is an apolitical position, when Forrest is asked what he thought about the war in Vietnam, the sound system is sabotaged, not allowing the audience both in the film and the audience in the theater to hear him.
So, what's your point?
This is supposed to be a propaganda for the U.S. military.
What the hell? If you're going to have propaganda in your story, your main character is going to say something about the propaganda or to be the propaganda. And they didn't. So how is it about a propaganda?
In 3 minutes, the movie just disproved him. It's a stupid-ass point.
Yeah, he just ends the sentence. You're like, and what's your point? You're like, what?
He was like, oh shit. And then he cut to the next point.
He didn't think about his script, he just wrote it. Oh, damn.
This is like these pseudo debunkings that never debunk what do we call it? The very extreme likelihood that Mr. Trudeau Jr. is Castro's son.
Well, okay, in the film, he does say something, and all the people around him who could hear him, they say, well, that was perfect, that was beautiful. So if he did say something, it would probably be about how war is bad, and I lost a lot of friends, and I'm glad I'm home with my family. Like, whatever Forrest Gump would say, it would be very simplistic and very positive. Like, it wouldn't be like, yes, war is great, we need to go back there and kill more. Like, no, he would never say something like that. Forrest doesn't have the mind for it. So it would be touching and sentimental and simple and succinct.
Yeah, he'd say something like the weather was really bad.
The weather was bad.
I looked it up. Apparently, Tom Hanks said that, like, his speech was, sometimes when people go to Vietnam, they go home to their mamas without any legs. Sometimes they don't go home at all.
Yeah, it would have been something straightforward.
That is so in character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anything, it would be anti-war. So, which we all know that, because Forrest Gump is not a warmonger, or the characters in his unit weren't warmongers, aside from Lieutenant Dan, who wanted to die, famously. But that's it. Everything else is the Black Panthers and some of the military men that were waging this thing. That's about it.
Gump leads a charmed life. Although born with some disadvantages, Forrest is able to become rich and famous beyond his wildest dreams. He plays ping pong for the United States, and a sports company pays him to endorse their ping pong paddles. He runs a successful shrimping company and stumbles into owning part of Apple Computers. Forrest Gump is the realization of the American dream, that with a little hard work and adherence to American values, anyone can be successful.
I know, that wasn't really hard work. That was him accidentally destroying the entire shrimp fishing fleet.
Yeah, God brought a storm and destroyed all the other boats. And for whatever reason, even though he was on the water, his boat was fine. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, whatever story.
Yeah, it wasn't just hard work. There was a bit of luck.
Yeah, a lot of luck on there. That we say is movie magic, and I'm okay with it. It's totally cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All just
because it's all a story of what is it, unexpected circumstances.
Yeah, him being in the right place at the right time, and healing Lieutenant Dan's problems, and having him find a new life, and giving back to Bubba's mom. Like that it's just cute and fun and silly, and heartwarming. Yeah,
and it's an almost childlike and then story.
It is an American fairy tale, yeah.
And then
rags to riches. That's what Americans are taught. Forrest's disadvantages do not matter. All that matters is his obedience to the American way of life.
What the fuck are you talking about?
They matter. Like
children who grow up in poverty.
Film is spends so much time with that he has to come over his disadvantages.
Yeah,
it's part of the movie's charm.
Yeah, the first one is he's not very smart. The second one, he has a weak back, and he doesn't really overcome the first one, as you said. But it's his athleticism and his strengths of character that cause him to do amazing things, even if he doesn't have the ambition to perceive them. He just does the things. He's always doing something. Like even when he's sitting on his porch and he's back from the war, he's made his millions or whatever, and Jenny has gone away or whatever. He's like, okay, I'm going to start running now. For no reason. He just got to do something. He's always doing something. That's the idea. He's never just complacent. And no ambition, no thought, no idea. His life just finds a way to some perfect storm of events where he gets involved in. And suddenly he's on TV again because he's running around America.
I like these facts that he has on the screen as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's amazing. Like, okay, the children in poverty have 75 times less chance that they're gonna be succeeding as adults. And productivity of American workers has increased 70% since 1979. But average hourly pay has gone up less than 12%.
Gee, I wonder why productivity went up since 1970s. Has something to do with the digital age, maybe?
Yeah, but like I love that like he jumps to the last fact that like the minimum wage has been 7.25 cents over a decade now. Okay, we're comparing like 70s to the 2010s.
Yeah, I think I remember the 70% thing. There are things skewed with that to just say it like that.
I mean,
I don't remember the details. The relevant thing is for him.
Yeah, it's a talking.
Renegade, why don't you do something to get rid of inflation?
It's a talking point
that it's possible
that the minimum wage is a certain value, certain decades. It's like yes, but look at the decade of 1970s and the 80s, the explosion of the personal computer, automation of the mechanized workforce. So you had conveyor belts, you had all these power plants and making stuff and manufacturing with machines and automated robots and this and that. This was a big deal in the late 70s and the early 80s.
Yeah, and in regards to the first point, children who grow up in poverty are as much as 75% more likely to be poor in adulthood than those who don't. How about you change your policy in all these poor areas, because those policies keep the people poor. You promote broken families. You promote not being meritocratic because that is white. You promote not working hard. You promote not learning. You promote blaming other races, and then you keep the poor people in government handouts that apparently are not enough to work them to be able to lift them up out of it themselves. And then you promote, which makes them vote for you more, because that's how they get the government handouts, and then you promote movements that destroy the businesses that people are trying to build up in these poor areas that might improve the wealth in those areas.
I'm a little concerned because doesn't America have like 50 states that are all different and they have different rates of pay?
He mentions federal minimum wage.
Yeah.
I don't know what that actually means, because I do know for a fact that like each and every state has its different for minimum wage.
Minimum wage, tax laws.
Some have it at $8, some have it at $11.
Is that an average?
Bloody hell, in Germany, the difference between East and West is still so extreme that when you're used to West German prices for food and everything and rent, and you go to East Germany for whatever Congress or somewhere, and then you just think, I'm getting to the supermarket to get some supplies, so I'm for something. And then I did that in 2014, 15, and so I bought a ton of stuff. So I would have snacks like some meatballs and stuff to eat during the Congress, and I bought tons of stuff. I expected to pay $15 or $20. I paid $5. And I was like, what? I keep checking because I thought, did the cashier made a mistake? Or anything, because I just grabbed the stuff I knew. It's the same supermarket chain that is present here in this city in West Germany. And it's the expensive one. But in East Germany, I paid like half to a fourth for the same products, the exact same products from the same companies, from the same factories, and rent is also cheaper in East Germany, and that is also the reason why in East German states social security payouts are much lower, because it just costs less.
Yeah. Well, I think we could say that every decade since the 70s rather, have had a technological revolution to change our lifestyle, our culture, our productivity, our pay, everything changes so quickly these days. So I would argue that productivity would have probably increased a lot more than 70% since 1979 with the advent of the internet and smartphones and God knows how many other pieces of technology we've got now. So can we really compare the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s? I'm not sure that's very fair. But I want to know what these metrics mean because he seems to be so concerned about minimum wage. Like, okay, great. Minimum wage for people working at like fast food or as a server or whatever. It's like, okay, same job, hasn't changed much. There's probably, going away, not all the time, but, with McDonald's or what have you, they have automated tellers now. You don't need to deal with an individual anymore. You could order on your app. You can get it delivered. So the minimum wage is what? What do Uber Eats drivers get? What do Diner Dash people get? I don't know. Let's find out. What is the average minimum wage job and how does it perform differently than the minimum wage job of 1979? That is a comparison I'd like to see. If you're going to give me numbers like, oh, it's the average is 7.25. It's like, really? Compared to what? Doing what exactly? What was the demand at the time for a minimum wage job? Was it working at the corner store? Or was it delivering food in your, I don't know, your makeshift GPS smartphone car? Like there's a big changes between then and now. So as a standard of living change, that would and where and what part of the country? How often does it take to get these jobs? Do you need a high school diploma? Do you need a driver's license? What is the requirement? Like there's all these questions I have for these stats. The Cincinnati Enquirer and Market Watch. Anyway, big stats that we're not even getting. He's just sort of saying, hey, here's the minimum wage. It's like, what's your point?
As much as 75 times more likely to be poor in adulthood than those who don't. Workers struggling to overcome those odds are rewarded even less for their labor than they once were. The productivity of American workers has increased 70% since 1979, but their average hourly pay has gone up less than 12%. In modern times, the federal minimum wage has remained stagnant at $7.25 for over a decade. There are a great many reasons why the poor remain poor. For one, a low income makes it difficult to pay loans, rent, and utilities on time. If any of those bills go unpaid for a long enough period, they will affect one's credit score, which in turn makes it much more difficult to secure loans for housing or vehicles. Worse still, late fees can pile up, creating a kind of trap that is nearly impossible to get out of. A bad credit score makes it difficult to acquire a loan for a small business, which means starting a business with bad credit is a challenge right from the start. And even if the business can be started, maintaining it for long enough to earn a profit, all the while having bad credit and a loan to pay back, compounds this challenge even further.
What?
Also, since poor people live
in
poor
business.
Neighborhoods, attracting lucrative business and big spenders faces challenges that businesses in middle-class or rich neighborhoods do not have. Many middle-class jobs with...
What? That's it? It's harder and bigger. It's not as hard in bigger, more competitive areas. Are you nuts? You think New York is less competitive? You think downtown Toronto or Bay Street is less competitive because it's bigger? What? What is he talking about?
Like maybe the number of unemployment would be bigger, but and you compare like how many people are actually working.
Higher stakes, higher money, higher pay. Yeah, it's less competitive. Like, no, it's not. Like, what are you talking? You could lose your fortune instantly. What are you talking about? You invest in the wrong company, it goes bankrupt. You're also bankrupt. What do you? Where do you think they get? They ask for money at bankruptcy. They ask all the shareholders. They pull out. What is this? I'm lost here.
God.
What is he talking about?
Dumb or insane?
It's less difficult
really
when you have a bigger company. Like, okay, there's a hell of a lot more challenges. You have a bigger float, I guess, to pay off your debts. But is that how the business works? I don't know. Which business? Which sector? Which industry? What are you buying and selling? What's your service? How do I compare mom and pop shop on the corner to an investment firm? I don't get it.
How did we get here from Forrest Gump?
I don't know. I saw an investment firm last year that lost $20 billion. Because
billion.
they quadruple leveraged.
Billion, yes.
They quadruple leveraged whatever they were doing all these years, and they didn't think about diversifying. I don't know if you guys ever pay attention to these things, but I was like, holy
That's
shit.
smart.
That was scary. That was like, wow. Just, boom.
Well, my diversification for my stocks have finally paid off because I invested in one energy and one real estate stock that still has 10 to 20% profits.
Wow.
but while the other ones fucking sank. Like I had like 20 or 30 other ones. That was crazy. It does matter a lot.
It's fun. Investing is fun. It's scary. It's good to put money into something you believe in, but it's also good to put in something which is safe. So there's all these strategies, and yes, we should be investing. Everyone should be investing in whatever you believe in. That's what I think is more important than I want to make some money. It's like, well, yeah, everyone on average will make money. When you diversify, you decrease risk. That's the main reason you do it. So when you invest, don't just put all your chickens in one basket, or all your eggs in one basket, rather.
Yeah, that's pretty much like his mindset, like with this.
Absolute fucking
That
basics.
like, you need one job and then you can succeed, which is like, unfortunately, it's clearly not the truth right now. You do
Never
need
tried-
to diversify.
Yeah.
Yeah, never try to just stand on one leg.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you lose your job, what do? Okay, you got to find another job, hopefully in the same industry because you're experienced, and they'll want people like you because you're experienced and you have all this knowledge, and you can make money for someone else. That's what
This guy reminds me of that unironic communist video where the guy was arguing that, like, well, if you go to be a fast food restaurant worker, then you will never succeed in life.
Really?
Like, that's because of capitalism. Dude, there's thousands upon thousands of other jobs you can take in a capitalist country. Yes, there are jobs as well, but anything. Really,
This is why-
you don't have to go to a factory
Yeah.
to mine coal.
This is why we
Yeah,
say
those things are to keep you fed and with a roof until you can find something better in your free time.
and this
Exactly. You don't have to be stuck with the same thing.
This is why I say American has the best burgers, not because they're the best tasting burgers, but there's so much competition for fast food, and the burger is a great example, that you can get almost anything you want, or some things you never even thought you wanted, for a really low price of high quality. And
Yes.
I've had, really, really great, more expensive French burgers, or from French restaurants that make burgers, as well as from, other European style restaurants that do something very different, but they're not as fast, they're not as cheap. So,
And in Germany, fast food is so bad that the fast food restaurants that also deliver, that are really good quality, can afford to have high prices.
right.
And people buy it.
I personally, I would rather go to an more expensive place that is a gourmet burger than your typical Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, just because I want something that's worth my stomach not being destroyed. So
I would also say that, like, I don't know if it was affected in other countries as well, but like we have like taxation on fast food chains, and the McDonald's one right now, I haven't had it for a while, but it's basically more expensive than the gourmet one that I
Really?
can have at the street. Yes,
Wow.
like, and the one that I get from the gourmet is at least I get like a whole menu with beer. While this McDonald's itself, I have to pay like 500 forints more. Which is basically like €2 more. It's amazing. It's like it's not even cheap and fast anymore.
This is something I noticed years ago, 10 years ago at least, that these fast food chains, McDonald's and Burger King, I have never waited anywhere as long as in those places. I get my stuff faster in any kebab shop, in any Vietnamese fast food restaurant, in any pizzeria, than in
because,
these
like, you just look at
American
the
fast
workers.
food chains.
Because those workers that you count on those shops are way more dedicated for that. Well, you pretty much just encounter college students in McDonald's.
Yeah.
At least like where I live, because it's the capital. So
yeah, I once was when I just moved to this town here, and I didn't know where anything was, and I noticed, damn, I need to eat something, and it was in the middle of the night. I just moved furniture and everything, and I need to eat something. Like there's this black hole inside my belly, and I looked up. Okay, there's a Burger King, not 100, 200, 150 meters from here, that I can walk to, and it's a 24/7 thing because it's right next to the highway. And so I went there at like, I don't know, midnight, 1 in the morning, and I waited. I'm not kidding you. I waited 90 fucking minutes for some basic ass burgers.
Okay.
I'm like, I can't believe this, but I couldn't leave because I really needed this food. I feel like this is supposed to be fast food. Is this the American embassy of culture? What the fuck is this shit? And then, of course, we all know that Burger King and McDonald's are absolute crap shit. At least here. Like you eat this stuff, and half an hour later you feel like you ate nothing for 2 days. That's why I never bought the actual what is it? The actual beef burgers, but just the chicken stuff, because the chicken stuff is more filling here.
Well, once you learn to make your own, it changes your appreciation for burgers in general or fast food in general.
Yeah, but I couldn't do that at the time because I had absolutely no supplies.
Yeah.
It's just bloody hell. Fast food chains are a lie.
Depending where you go, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the topic of diversification, there's a very simple metaphor for this. If you're building a stool to sit on, how many legs does it need for it to be stable? To not wobble?
Depends on what you're doing with the stool. It could be 6.
Well, you want to sit on it.
Well, yeah, but how? Like you're going to lean on it? You're going to does it have a top that spins?
No, a stool is just a flat surface that you sit on it that has legs. How many legs does it need to not wobble?
The best ones I've seen are 4.
Those can wobble. The ones that don't wobble have 3. But you can add a 4th one, because in case one breaks off, you still have 3.
Well, no, then it's going to fall over because they're perpendicular to each
It
other.
depends on where you place them. But yeah, because you place the three legs in a triangle, and then it doesn't wobble. And that's the diversification. If your stool only has 1 leg, you need to balance on it all the time. That's shit. And if it breaks, you're just falling on your ass.
I've sat in my share of bar stools.
It's basics. It's such basics.
All right.
How can a multi-billion-dollar company fuck this up?
All right. We are more than halfway done. 17 minutes. Where is he going? I don't know. We're still waiting for a point.
Middle-class wages require a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. However, college costs money, and if someone is born into a low-income family when one or both of their parents are not college educated...
Oh, that's easy to solve. College is a scam. It's definitely in America. Just learn a trade. Learn a real trade, a hard-working trade. You'll make tons of money. While all these weirdos that get indoctrinated with bullshit degrees like gender studies, that can't find a job, that just go into a life of activism and poverty, you're making tons of money, and by 25 you have a house and a wife and kids. And you're happy. You will own stuff and you will be happy.
There are plenty of jobs that you don't even need a degree for to apply. And even it's not just like the basic level ones. Like you can grab a training on your own. Like the programming jobs that I have done myself have not required the degree that I've worked for 6 years. So it was absolutely a waste of my time to even do that. But the only time that they require it if you go for like a government position. It's like related to that, so they need proof that you actually went through the thing.
Yeah, a lot of IT jobs are you apply for it, then you get a few tasks, tests, puzzles to solve, and they don't just want to. If you just submit standard things you looked up, that's not very interesting. They usually want to see 2, 3, 4 solutions to the problem, different solutions, preferably in different programming languages, and then they'll consider you. Because that is
that's the basic procedure, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a proof of are you capable? Because your university paper sheet with a stamp on it and a sigil and a nice calligraphy signature, that's not telling anyone can you actually program. There's the local university here has IT courses, and you can get through the bloody IT course to the end, to your master's degree, without ever having seen a line of code. But you can call yourself a programmer afterwards.
Yeah, I have.
What the fuck?
I want to talk about was pretty much like my friend from high school. We both started the university, and he actually finished like half a year before me, but he's still working as a tester. A programmer with a degree. It's just amazing. Like, because like he was never his strength to program, so he was just only like getting along with IT itself, and it's like kind of a waste of time because he gets like half as much as I do. It's just he can't even like pay his own stuff. It's incredible. Like, you don't really grasp it because like if you just force you through the course and you think like, oh, I'm only going to study as much as like I need to pass the courses, that's never going to get you anywhere in life.
Yeah, you need to have a passion for the thing you're doing.
And like I think of one of my interviews, like they actually asked me to do like a very classical IQ test. And like it was from the 70s or 80s.
Yep.
And it was really fucking tough. It was for bank position.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I didn't get it. But it's like, depending on the place itself. Like from my experience, 99.9% they're going to ask you like to do a test. And I have done like at least over 100 interviews.
A friend of mine had a fun experience when he was applying for jobs in his earlier years, and where they also did IQ tests and all this stuff, and where would you fit in best, and then they at the results they told him, a bit embarrassed, we're not sure if we want to hire you, because according to these tests you should be running this company.
Yes. they are looking for the average. They're looking for the person who is going to follow along. He's not going to ask back.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
That a college education is difficult to afford. The parents could get a loan, but with the aforementioned challenge of paying back loans and bills piling up, this may be either impossible or at least not a particularly attractive prospect.
No.
For the upper and middle class, unexpected costs are a nuisance but can be overcome. A hospital bill, an appliance bill, etc. For the poor, these unexpected bills can be insurmountable.
Yeah, you just need to change that system a little bit, because in Germany, we also get student loans from the state. However, they will only come for you to pay them back once you have an actual job.
Yeah.
And you can haggle out how much, at what rates you're paying them back.
Yeah, I think...
Because they don't want to break your neck.
Yeah,
they just want to get the money back so that they can give it to new students.
Yeah, they have student loans for 0% interest in most provinces that I'm aware of. So it's not uncommon. It's just you eventually do have to pay it back depending on when you get your job. So it's not uncommon. It's just...
Yeah, it's in the US it's just a problem because the whole student loan system there is a scam.
Well, it's sort of
It looks a lot like
leaked
one.
its way into North America and Canada as well. So
Yeah, well, it seems to operate like a scam because banks are haggling student loan debts around to like these what is it, these junk mortgages. It's a bubble.
Yeah.
It'll break.
anyway,
It'll pop soon.
I did not have my parents pay me through my schooling. I did it all myself. You just have to work, guys. As soon as you graduate high school, if you're not already working, get a job.
Yeah. I wish I could have done that. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's a joke. By the way, my mother told me we don't have the money. We can't do that. And now after I reconnected with my father, he told me what? She said that. Of course we had the money. And I was devastated. Like, well, it was my childhood dream to go to university. Yeah, thank you. Some mothers are shit.
Oh boy. Okay.
Furthermore, in the United States, there is no universal health care, and affording
So?
health care can be a struggle. That
What?
means that an unexpected hospital visit for a poor family and a hospital visit for a family that could afford a healthcare plan will have very different consequences. If a middle class
Okay. There is universal health care in Canada, but it's only good if you have like a little thing like a cold, or you break your leg or something minor, like something that's not going to require a lot of surgery or any kind of specialization. As soon as you have something like a disease or an unknown, you're screwed. You are being,
Or cancer.
yeah, you are thrown around every hospital until they find a specialist who knows what the hell's going on, or whatever the case may be, because some people don't even know what's going on. Some days different. The symptoms are changing. It's good in general if you just have the sniffles or you stub your toe and you broke something. It's great, yeah. But in general, no. You have to go to the States. You have to get your passport and go down to the States, find a specialist, because they will treat you instantly. You're going to die, or going to be in pain, or you're going to be suffering for a long time unless you don't. So there's not this universal solution to healthcare that works. It's good to a degree. If you have a specialized problem, you're screwed.
Yeah, here they put you on a list that you have to be in a queue. Like,
Yep.
if you have to be for chemo, you have to wait half a year or even a year
Oh,
to
God,
be able to get there. And yeah, if you want to have it instantly treated and it's not going to get worse, then you have to pay up.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just want a test done, like for MRI, there's a waiting list just for MRIs.
Yeah.
So, this ration to healthcare is not the greatest thing in the world. It's only good for clinics, which are local, and they're not too busy, and you have some sort of sore throat, or there's something preventing you from going to work. You need some like $60 medicine. You can go there. If it doesn't get covered, you have to spend the extra $10-20, and because there's a limit. You can't just spend $20 and or $200 and get it covered by your insurance. So, the universal health care. So there, it's there for small things, not for the big things, not for things that matter. So if you get into an accident, a car accident or whatever, like that doesn't cover it. It's not, you're gonna have to see a specialist. So yeah, there's a lot of misgivings about our healthcare system. There's a lot of good things about it, but it's a mixed bag. Anyway, why we're on the topic of healthcare, I don't know.
wage earner with a healthcare plan breaks his leg, his insurance might cover the hospital visit. If a lower class wage earner without a healthcare plan breaks his leg, he will be paying off that bill for years. Same incident, completely different consequences. The disparity between the rich and the poor continues to grow. All of the hardships of a family struggling to make...
Okay, but like, how is this related to Forrest Gump being
Yeah.
successful?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the American values?
Like if we are going by what he was saying, then like all these people who are poor or underprivileged means that they have betrayed their friends, they walked away with some hippies or political idealists, and they didn't give a fuck all about their lives.
Yeah, and I have my issues with calling the middle class rich.
Yeah, always about this middle class thing. Like I'm so sick of it.
The socialists hate the middle class because it ruins their narrative.
He's kind of displaying that right now.
Huh?
He is kind of displaying that right now. Like,
Yeah, there's
he
only
hates
the poor and the
middle
rich. There is nothing in between. It's like the majority are.
class. We must get everyone down to
Yeah,
our level.
Yeah, and the middle class is in the way of the socialist plan, because when you have a middle class, you have people who are well situated. They're not rich, but they're well situated, and that is basically where you want to be. And the problem for the socialists is, well, if there's people like that, they're the least likely to do the revolution dance, because they're fine with their lives and go about their lives, and they have no reason to do the revolution. So they want everyone who's not rich to be poor. They want people to be in misery so that they do the insurrection for them, so that they can take power. That's always been the case. That's why they want to destroy the middle class. Always have been. It's sinister, it's evil.
Conditions that make it incredibly unlikely to reach a higher economic class. Most of the garage to millionaire stories about Apple computers and Amazon are myths and fabrications.
What?
No,
It's
they're
not
not.
impossible to go from rags to riches, but exceptions do not disprove.
So first off, they're not, and it's not rags. They're not starting at rags. Rather, you had very talented people that applied themselves, believed in something, and they had a lot of things are coming together, like opportunity, resources, and wit. You can have the idea to invent the light bulb in 1326. But it doesn't matter if you don't have any of the resources to build your little experiment. Then you won't invent it. You can have the idea, but you won't be able to invent it. That's why that only happens at a later date in history, when all these factors come together. And
Well,
other than that, there are, even in Germany, there are stories of rags to riches.
yeah, nowadays.
Where we had immigrants who really started the absolute classic dishwasher in a restaurant and worked themselves up to becoming semi-famous actors. We had that. That's a thing. That's not a myth.
Nowadays, anyone can start.
We had a woman in one of these really stupid reality TV shows in Germany that they're really horrible to watch. But she was one of these semi-famous actors at the time, and they had this thing on some castle where everyone had to do these medieval level chores, and she got the dishwasher task, and she said no, she's not going to do it, because she swore to herself that because she started with dishwashing in Germany, and she swore to herself that once she's out of that job, she will never ever do that herself again. And she refused to do it, and she rather left the show. I think she left the show than do the task, because she had that much pride in herself.
Well, nowadays
you can call that arrogant, but honestly, I can empathize with her to some degree.
Well, nowadays anyone can start their own business or their own blog and learn to make money online. It's not the greatest form of income, but it is a way of starting. If you want to be passionate about something and just keep talking and making content, there's an audience for it. And we can see that just by browsing YouTube. The dumbest shit, the stuff you wouldn't even think people care about, like baking. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of recipes on YouTube on baking anything, and you just search it. It's all free, and voila, there's a video to watch on how to make bread or cake or a certain recipe.
Right.
It's all there, and honestly, I have a lot of chef friends. They go to YouTube as well. And what's that? They'll check it out. Someone did it. Some bartender made something I've never heard of before. They check it out. So whatever you're interested in, if you're passionate about it, that's the number one sort of teaching method. It's like, what do you want to do? It's like, what are you passionate about? talk about it, write about it, make stuff about it, do tutorials on the thing that you know so well that no one else does. It's simple. I know it sounds basic, but every day, as long as you're working on it, it's going to grow. It's with YouTube, with your blog, with whatever you're making content about. TikTok apparently is a thing where you can make silly videos very similar to, YouTube Shorts or whatever they're called. So there's things you got to do online if you want to start a business that just involve passion and not necessarily just being a clown. So
I just had this when you said that all these cooking, baking videos on YouTube, and your chef friends going to them. I just imagine these, because I love really, really old books, and there are some amazing pieces in the attics and cellars of some German monasteries that you will never see. They only let restaurators to them. And I just imagine this like someone making the penultimate cookbook of humanity that contains every recipe of human history.
Oh God!
And it's like this giant thing with this fake leather bound wooden cover. And maybe with some inlaid ornamentations, and every page is like a foot long, a foot high.
Sadly, the videos we only get from you guys are disgusting and gross and weird and stupid. But there are good ones out there, and we only get the weird ones from you guys. So I would
maybe submit a Tonald video for Smud.
Yeah, Tonal's not, like, he knows what he's doing. He just goes over the top, which I find a little disgusting, because chefs should not be extravagant unless you're doing very particular things. You don't have 13 ingredients to make a sauce. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but maybe he has one of these super tongues that really taste everything.
I highly doubt that, but okay. It's fine. Anyway, let's keep going.
Inescapable patterns and statistics.
Sure, whatever.
Forrest Gump, the film, not the character, recognizes poverty, but it does not address poverty.
It's not supposed
Almost
to.
everyone who is poor in the movie becomes rich.
Right.
Forrest himself, of course. Bubba's family through the generosity of Forrest. Lieutenant Dan, who, after the war, lives in a crummy apartment, but eventually runs the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. All except Jenny, who opposed
wouldn't be
American
possible
values.
without Forrest.
Forrest is rewarded for his obedience with millions of dollars. Lieutenant Dan is
Not
rewarded
obedience.
for his service to his country.
Not obedience, you
Doesn't
bloody...
understand words.
He starts a business with Bubba's idea.
Because of obedience.
The state that demands obedience in your work is the socialist state, not the capitalist libertarian state.
I would say he's dedicated. Very dedicated to help out his friends.
Yeah.
Even after their death.
Yeah, that's the point with Bubba's mom. He says, "Yep, I'm going to give half the money to Bubba." Like he made this $1 million business and gives half of it to Bubba's mom. She goes,
First time, like he meets the mom, the mom thinks that he's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't really think much of money. He just wants to help. That's why he gives these insane amounts to friends or the family of friends that he's lost. And on the note of obedience, let's run with that. Let's allow him this obedience argument.
Sure.
In a socialist state, you can be as obedient as humanly possible, as subservient, as submissive as possible. Always do as you're told. You will never get rich.
Yeah, imagine if he didn't listen to Jenny. Jenny told him, whenever you're in trouble over in Vietnam, just run away. And that's what he did. And he said, "Hey, Jenny, I'm going to give you this medal because you taught me to run away, to survive." And she's like, "Okay." And she accepts the medal. But he listened to his mom all the time. He listened to Lieutenant Dan all the time. He listened to Bubba, all his friends and family. And he just did what they asked of him or what he knew of them. The only thing he actively does himself, I think, aside from join the military, he was sort of coerced into doing so. He didn't have any better ideas. Was to run by himself. He just gets up and I'm going to run. No reason, and then no reason to stop aside from I'm tired of it. That's it. And running around didn't get him anything. He just ran around because he wanted to. So I don't see how this is a problem outside of the nuances of the story, showing the weird, lucky scenarios where he doesn't get shot and die, where the storm passes and he's in the storm and the boat's fine, and all the other boats on the dock aren't. It's like, what? Stuff like that. It's like, all right, he got lucky in the eye of the storm, maybe? I have no clue. And this caused him to make his millions, to participate in the ping pong tournaments. He just happened to be very good at that thing, and the military made him the spokesperson for going around and visiting other Vietnamese or Vietnam veterans.
Sports ambassador thing.
Yeah, that's how he was fighting communism, by being a sports guy and making sure other war veterans were okay. So it's just a series of events that sound unlikely, which is the whole movie, because he meets presidents and all these other things happen during the 60s and 70s that are iconic to American history. And he was part of that in some small way. It's a fairy tale. It's beautiful. It's cute. It's lovable. It's not to be taken that seriously.
He's not. I don't see him telling us point for point what American values are. He's just dropping little hints and possible interpretations here and there.
Yeah, he's not listing them. And I don't mind it that if he's giving a synopsis or he's giving a specific scene where we can derive what it means to us, what this scene means. And we're doing it right now with, okay, he loves his family, he loves his friends, he loves Jenny. Great. But
if this was his teaching style in North and South Korea,
yeah, we'd be lost.
He's an absolutely useless teacher.
Yeah.
I had teachers like that in my school. They were absolutely boring. You had no idea what they were even talking about.
Yeah.
Then you had a test with a question of describe mercantilism. Like, was it ever mentioned? What is that?
Yeah.
And it's like he's useless.
Here's Great Scott. Thanks for the 3. Late to the stream, wasn't there a big scene where Forrest almost got jumped by the black supremacists? Forrest deserved way better than Jenny, too, who really wanted to make him a simp. Jenny was not the best influence, and she was not on the best choices or made the best path in her life because of her choices. But the beautiful thing about Forrest is that he loves her regardless, the same way he cares for his friends regardless of how much they either dislike him or tell him not to do something. He still protects Lieutenant Dan. He still takes care of Lieutenant Dan. He still takes care of his mother. He still loves Jenny, and he marries her just because she asked.
I don't think she was trying to turn him into a simp.
No.
She didn't want anything to do with him, rather.
Yeah.
And he kept coming back to her.
Yeah, like she wasn't a bad person because she knew that Forrest was the way he was. And Forrest was just always being nice to her. He was always kind and friendly and writing her letters. And it's kind of like
that disturbed her because there were several things happening. For one, it showed her that she is not a good person, that she's a failure, and that she's not caring about him, and that being with him reminds her that her life is shit. So she's pushing him away. Not just that she doesn't want, because it feels when you have someone like Forrest around you, it always feels like you are responsible for this person, for this mentally impaired person.
Right.
You always have this feeling. She doesn't want that because that's a responsibility. She leads a life of irresponsibility. Well, Forrest, you could say, just through his simplicity, leads a life of responsibility without noticing it.
Yeah, it's one of those beautiful, weird stories of just this guy running around and doing whatever needs to be asked of him to do. And he just joins the military, and then he starts fishing, and helps his friend in the process, and it just keeps going and going.
And he doesn't care that duty is as heavy as a mountain. He just does it because he's been taught from childhood that doing that is the right thing to do. It's the good thing to do. And if Renegade Cut wants to call that indoctrination, I call him an asshole, because that is just basic decency, basic humanity, basic principles, virtues.
Yeah,
the real ones, real virtues.
And what did Forrest learn? He learned how to win football games for his school. Even if he wasn't that interested in the game, he was just good at running. And he learned how to help.
Yeah, and the team figured out how to utilize him.
Yeah, this is like...
They weren't making fun of him because, hey, we just need to get the ball to Forrest, and once he has it, we'll tell him to run, and then we'll win.
Right, and that's part of the...
So don't make fun of him. That's why we don't make fun of him, because he gives us the victories.
Yeah, that's part of the movie where it's like, okay, this is a bit over the top, because even the crowd has these signs that they spin just tell them to stop. So the whole people in the stands tell them to stop. So it's like, okay, something's going on.
It's
here.
a bit cute.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's just that it's like it's a bit over the top compared to everything else in the movie, which is all based off luck. So
yeah, it also implies that there were moments where Forrest just kept running and probably ran into a wall.
Yeah,
and that's why the fans likely picked up on telling him, "Oh, by the way, stop, Forrest! Don't run into the wall again."
This is the part of the film where they're like, okay, how dumb is he is really dumb if he can't understand the game of football and people blowing whistles to stop.
Well, football has so many American football has so many bloody rules. Like, don't I wouldn't play that on Forrest to not understand how football works with all the rules. Just tell him, you have the ball now, run. And since he outruns everyone, he doesn't need to know any of the rules. He just needs to make it to the fucking 100-yard line.
Okay. Anyway, the values are working with your team, being friendly, listening to your family, listening to your friends, loving unconditionally. Like, he loves Jenny. There's no question. And
he also unconditionally loves Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
And Bubba.
Yeah, for sure. There's friends and family, exactly. And it's through that they become better people. Lieutenant Dan gets another lease on life, and he finds love himself. So it's a beautiful story. It's a fairy tale. Of course it's a fairy tale, but it's beautiful. So American values, not necessarily, but you could chalk it up to being a good person to your mom and loving your family.
And his implied conversion to Christianity from his previous atheism. The movie even implies that God struck down all the other shrimp boats and saved Forrest's boat. Bubba's family is rewarded for their hard work, and really their association with someone who embodies American values.
What?
COINTELPRO? What is a COINTELPRO?
What is that?
I have no idea. COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO?
Is that a word?
I don't know. Maybe he had an aneurysm when he wrote this.
He's having a stroke.
Maybe it's COINTELPRO?
COINTELPRO was a series of covert and illegal projects conducted by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigations aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting domestic American political organizations in 1956 to 1971.
So it's COINTELPRO, not COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO. That was some cryptocurrency thing.
That sounds like an ISP.
Yeah.
Found an ISP that is based on crypto and currency and write blockchain on your website and then call it COINTELPRO.
No one can trace your IP with COINTELPRO. This is where he stops the film or stops the video and starts has a sign up link to
Affiliate league.
Affiliate. Anyway, here's Honk. Hey, Honk, thanks for the $1. Renegade Cut is just Forrest Gump in reverse. He's just as stupid. He talks the same, except he's a commie. Also, Jenny deserves to burn in hell. Okay.
Yes, she does.
She is a complex character, that Jenny. I don't know about burning in hell, but yeah.
Also, I'm beginning to think that Renegade Cut sounds so weird because maybe he has a polyp up his nose.
You know, the way
you
he
should see a
colors,
doctor.
the way he colors all of his videos or his screen caps in reverse dye, like it's a negative. When you mentioned him, he's like the opposite of Forrest Gump. It's like that's what he's doing with everything he reviews.
Either it's bisexual lighting, or it's a very subtle what's it called, dog whistle or cry for help to Aiden Paladin to contact him, because she uses the same colors, to get him out of the communist hell.
Oh, he's doing reverse psychology and hoping.
Yes, just a cry for help. He wants to get out, but doesn't know how to.
Some more intelligent person can argue him away from his ideology.
I think he could. If that was the case, he could do that himself, but he doesn't know how to stop. He just doesn't know. So he needs someone to help him detox the drug.
He's never talked to someone from the USSR before. It's never happened.
Yeah. Aiden, if you are ever listening to this nonsense, contact Renegade Cut and help him get out of communism.
I mean, we would do it with
he's clearly calling for your help.
Yeah, we would do it with just sending him books, but I don't think he's going to read them. So. Or if he does read them, he just interprets them as like, well, this is the way it was, and this is the bad version of communism. Like, no, dude.
That implies that there's a good version of.
Yeah. This is obviously the one that was tried and not correct. Okay. Sure thing. Anyway, 5 minutes, roughly 6 minutes.
If there is an opponent to American values, it is radical politics.
What?
Opposition to capitalism and opposition to imperialism. In the film, radicals are portrayed negatively. Jenny's boyfriend, Wesley, is abusive.
They're black
Nazis. The boyfriend
Nazis.
is identified as someone from Berkeley, California, which is conservative shorthand for a far-left, loony radical. Wesley, when apologizing for his abuse...
That's not a conservative shorthand. That is mainstream understanding now. That
Berkeley makes you a radical?
It probably makes you a communist.
I don't know. That never crossed my mind. I had no idea.
Any university that has gender studies courses is making you a communist.
Yeah, but the 70s?
You forget that the Frankfurt School moved to America, so they had probably a lot of influence already.
But California, the other end of the state, or the other end of the country?
I don't remember where exactly the Frankfurt School moved.
Oh.
Was it Boston comes to mind, Massachusetts comes to mind. Wouldn't be surprised about California, but I don't know. It's just things popping up in my head.
Yeah.
I have nothing to back it up. It's just words coming up in my head.
Well,
would need to look it up.
Here's Zeke High L. Yeah, very cute.
Okay.
On a side note, it's hilarious to see Renegade Cut scoff at genuine earnestness because that's what he takes away from all of this. Communism aside, he's a bitter, unhappy failure, and these films just remind him of that. I don't know.
Contrary to him, Jenny at least had sex. She had sex,
only
drugs,
Renegade
and
Cut
rock and
would have
roll.
drafted to Vietnam.
Yeah, if only he was drafted, then it'd be fine. Everything would be great. Yeah.
in North and South Korea?
Yes.
Anyway, I'm not sure what to make of it. I'm waiting for the argument, and I don't know what the hell this, as we said, the Co-Intel Pro thing.
Still 5 minutes left.
Hughes blames President Lyndon Johnson for his behavior. Jenny and her comrades' opposition to the war in Vietnam is framed as immature, at best, and an excuse for violence at worst. Forrest encounters a gathering of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, more commonly called the Black Panthers. The film portrays them as shouting, ill-tempered...
Wait, what? The Black Panthers were commonly known as the Black Panthers?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
What?
The Black Panther Party is called the Black Panthers. Didn't you know that, Wisp?
What kind of sentence is that?
Language. What does that mean? What are words anymore?
This is the... I really try to imagine him as a teacher with this level of...
Yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. That means that 1 + 1 is 2. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
The United States usually refers to the United States of America. They have a lot of people. They talk and eat and drink.
Oh boy. Here's great, Scott. The difference is we don't live in the segregation time period. Whereas this argument might have made sense, everyone agrees that the time period had major issues. It doesn't make sense here, and to claim American values are bad. I don't know, because we can derive our own understanding of American values watching the movie, but Renegade Cut's job as a person criticizing or analyzing this movie is to show this is where the value of X comes from, or this is the scene where we learn the theme of Y.
He's not very good at explaining the American values in the first place.
No, it's just, war is bad. It's like, yes, fine. He
also tries to tell us that war is an American value, and I wouldn't say so.
No, I'm not even sure what he's saying.
I'd rather say that anti-war and staying out of war is an American value. It's just that the U.S. government,
right,
since World War I, has not adhered to that.
Yeah, and being against war didn't mean you were a communist or a socialist in 1970s. I don't know where that comes from.
Especially the 1970s.
Yeah, McCarthyism was dying, but it's still, it's not forgotten. I don't think there were too many people running around, unless it was 1910, 1920 in America, not 1970. That's a different thing. The academics, as Wisp might refer to, were infiltrating the universities at the time. You might get a few people, but hippies? No.
The hippies were the absolute tier 0 of useful idiots.
Right, but I don't think they had a political bone in their body aside from war is bad. Let's
go. This is the thing. They even the hippies that believe to be apolitical are still formed by the propaganda they are exposed to, which in the hippie scene is entirely left-wing. It's mixed with other things, but this is where we get into the ideological demon topic, where they think they're not political, but they believe in like 5% of the ideology, each in different parts of it to different degrees, but they do believe in that. I've met people here in town that are absolutely naive people, wonderful people, heart in the right place. You would never believe this a person like that could harm a fly. Super caring, thinks himself, herself, apolitical, honestly apolitical, but believes in political propaganda of the left, but isn't aware that it is political propaganda.
Yeah.
Whether it's of feminism, whether it's of some other environmentalist stuff, these people do not know that is propaganda. They believe this is just the good and right thing to do.
Yeah,
they are political. They just don't know it.
Yeah, we're getting that. Well, in Canada, we're getting that this week for sure. For a lot of people who watch the CBC or don't know what's going on in Ottawa from streams that you guys have more access to than they do, by going to YouTube and watching the live streams of people walking around and talking to people and watching what the police are doing.
Uh-huh.
They have no clue. They think it's a good thing. Oh, look at all these police. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, no, it's not good.
And it is very rare that, Chet also points this out, it is very rare that the people really want war. That is absolutely rare in history. People don't want war because war's shit. In war, your family goes to die.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's the Giga Chad. Hey, Giga Chad, how you doing? The Association of Anti-War Values and Communism comes from communist groups in America claiming those values for themselves. Also, McCarthy did nothing wrong. He prosecuted commie agents in government and military and was correct every time. Well, I don't know about that.
He was. The thing is that McCarthy's modus operandi was the problem. So So the thing is, communists have lived by any means necessary to get to their goal, and that's why they will always defend that when they do it, it's okay. When they do fascist stuff, it's okay. When they witch hunt, it's okay. But anyone who's not on that side is held to a higher standard, including by the communists. It doesn't matter that that's hypocritical by them.
Yeah,
they don't care that they're hypocrites. But we have to abide by. So that means everyone who's not a socialist, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, we can't do by any means necessary. We have to live by the path is the goal, and when the path is the goal, the means are not justified. And the thing with McCarthy is that he believed that there were a couple dozen, maybe 100 communist infiltrators in Hollywood. What it turned out to be after McCarthy, when the KGB files were disclosed, that it was thousands in the United States. Thousands of communist agents. What basically happened during McCarthy was not that people who were persecuted for communism. They were basically the cancel culture thing was more or less done. That the communists are doing again against everyone else. That it was not about pledging for capitalism or America. It was that not renouncing, not criticizing, dismissing communism that made you suspicious. When you refuse to distance yourself from communism, that was the sign that you were a communist. And a lot of people did that. They did not distance themselves. And that is what McCarthy went after, because that is the big red flag. Pun not intended.
Okay. All right. 5 minutes. Well, let's go.
Men who almost immediately eject Forrest from the room when he defends Jenny from an assault. The Black Panthers instantly side against Jenny even though she is assaulted, and threatens Forrest with their guns for rescuing her and causing a minor stir in their presence. This is not an accurate portrayal of the Black Panthers, but it is a
the Black Panthers would have probably just shot Forrest because they are communist, insurrectionist, black supremacists. They are terrorists. They do not value human life beyond that on their side, like all communist subgroups. If you don't have the right kind of communism, they will also not see you as human.
Common portrayal in fiction, influenced by propaganda and a rewriting of history. The Black Panthers emerged as a group to defend African Americans from police brutality and injustice. Early activities of the Black Panthers did have them armed, but this was completely legal and within their rights. When an African American
so owning guns is okay when it's legal? Do we need to invoke the boy that shot a burglar, a wife beater, and a pedophile? Where it's the gun ownership is suddenly bad?
Well, I remember the thing that happened. Was it last week or this week in Canada and Alberta? There was these military guys that they carry guns because they're military guys. They feel safe. They're legally allowed to own them, and they found them in one of the protests on the border, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is great." They stopped an event from happening. It's like, well, they can own guns. You're allowed to own guns legally. So what's the problem? Like, did you interview these guys and find the actus or the mens rea? Were they good? Were they planning something? It's like, no, they weren't planning anything. They just wanted to go out and feel safe. because they go out and feel safe when they hunt, and they bring their kit with them. And that happens to be part of it. So there's all these things happening, and we prevented violence. The protesters are violent. It's like, did they do anything? I'm sure some of them got into some scuffles there. The first week of the protest, some guys stole some food from a food bank or something like that. And it's like, okay, that was weird. But it doesn't make up everyone there. And no one has done really anything illegal aside from parking, which is the point. Obviously, they're parking illegally. That's the idea. There's no need to bring in the military, as they did. So, anyway, owning guns does not make you a bad person. Using the gun and blowing someone's head off, probably not a good thing. Anyway, Porcellinus the Fourth. I think I'm saying that wrong, but little correction was McCarthy never prosecuted communists in Hollywood. That was handled by in the dogshit Democrat, Roy Brewer. But the left can't have a Democrat as a boogeyman in their propaganda. It's why Kennedy is seldom blamed for Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not too fluent on McCarthyism. It's been a while since I've read about it. But I do know it was brought up because, well, not only were Nazis brought up, but so was McCarthyism and a bunch of other things as a result of my government treating Canadians that protests as essentially war criminals. So, yeah, wonderful times in Canada these days.
Was being harassed or arrested by the police, the Black Panthers were there to monitor the situation, and since the police knew they were armed, this influenced the police to treat their target more fairly. Their monitoring activities undoubtedly saved the lives of African American men and women who would have otherwise been harmed by the police, a common occurrence both then and now. The Black Panthers monitoring police arresting African Americans in the 1960s is simply the modern-day equivalent of recording the police with camera phones to expose them when they go over the line. I don't see how comparing camera phones to arresting people is the same.
He means all these times when black suspects with criminal records are resisting arrest and then get shot.
Yeah, but
I think he means that the fact that they were monitoring the situation. Jesus, what a retarded word that is.
Yeah, but this is the same problem we're having in Canada right now. It's like you can put these people in prison for, having cars parked illegally or trucks parked illegally. Look, you don't need to bring other articles against them.
Yeah, but look, he's making an argument for armed militias against state oppression, against state overreach.
Right.
Which justifies right now that you should have an armed militia in Canada, in Ontario, and in Washington, D.C.
That would flip. Well, it has happened. I've seen it happen in when was it? Was it the elections in 2014 or 2015? There were like 500 servicemen that all lined up and faced the White House for I can't remember what the reason was, but it was like, a lot of veterans are just marching down there, and these are all just presentation or demonstrations. They're nothing violent. I don't think they were carrying guns though. But stuff like this happens. In Canada, not so much because we're not too militaristic. We don't have guns in general. But so many things have been happening that, like, the police chief, he quit. Was it this week? The guy who was Trudeau's bodyguard at the RCMP for 8 years, he quit last week.
His bodyguard quit?
Yeah, the guy in charge, the main bodyguard. And he had a big speech.
You mean his personal bodyguard, or is that some euphemism
no,
for some
no.
other position?
It's the RCMP is guarding the Prime Minister's office, and he was doing it for 8 years because Trudeau's been elected 3 times. So yeah, no, there's all these people resigning and leaving. And it's
okay.
chaos.
When when your personal bodyguard resigns,
Yeah.
then that means your personal bodyguard knows, okay, shit's gonna come. This guy is not worth dying for.
Yeah, and
bye.
He had a speech that was over like an hour just explaining why and what he saw, and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, here's 2 donations. Thanks, Great Scott, again. Did anyone even die in the blockade? Also loved seeing you guys, Prime Minister, get roasted so hard he stuttered throughout the entire Parliament hearing. Oh, God, I stopped watching. No one died. No one died. No deaths.
Contrary to the Chaz.
Yeah, it's all peaceful. No one initiated force. There was the stealing of food from a food bank for whatever reason. I don't know. There were some flags which were questionable, which is legal. You can have swastikas on your flag. It's not a very good look, but you can do it.
There's like two instances.
Yeah, it happened at the first
in 50,000 people. Yeah, you don't. Those people simply don't count. They're just rejected by the crowd.
Everyone else was dancing and singing and bouncy castles and barbecuing and playing with their kids, playing Lego with their. It's just like it's just families outside the.
At that point, it's even questionable. Is that a lunatic weirdo, or is that a glowy? Is that a government agent provocateur for some publicity stuff?
There was the theory that
they do this stuff in Germany.
We saw Trudeau's photographer strangely had access to the Nazi flag. We're not sure how that happened.
Yeah, that was completely freshly printed and folded out for the first time, still with the folds, the creases in.
Yeah.
Like, go away.
Yeah, if you put the Canadian flag upside down, you're a Nazi. It's like, what? Oh, what? What are you talking about?
What?
Yeah. Anyway, one more, and we'll get back to the video. Porcelinus the Fourth again. I guess Cue Ball is going to leave out how the Black Panthers were being funded by the KGB, something he would denounce the CIA for, and they had a habit of selling heroin to black communities and killing people who blew the whistle about it. Oh. Well, everyone's got their extremists in their groups.
Insurrectionists, communists, black supremacists.
Da-da-da.
When the Black Panthers take the side of Jenny's boyfriend instead of Jenny herself, this seems to suggest she might be less welcome than her boyfriend. However, according to the documentary The Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution, membership of the Black Panthers had become predominantly women after the first few years. The Black Panthers were primarily concerned with...
Is this another admission by history that women should not have the vote?
I don't know, because I've only ever seen men in these photos. Maybe I'm just not looking at history.
So maybe that's why they ended.
All the women got involved.
Women took over the movement, and that's why it broke apart.
Oh.
Yes.
Well,
okay.
Racial justice.
See, that's why. That's why Russia doesn't want any of this stuff, because they're breaking apart all the time anyway. So letting any of this stuff would just be a death knell.
That reminds me of the. They were asking Putin, "Do you know Trump?" and all this. Like, why would I know Trump? Why would I control him? The presidency changes every 4 years. It would be a waste of time and resources if we were to do anything. It's like this funniest thing. He's like completely honest with the reporter. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, because what you want to control is the deep state, and that is not some scary buzzword thing. The deep state is simply the permanent workers, the permanent secretaries and everything, the people who are not elected, the people who are working in the same position in government for 20, 30 years. That's the people you want to control.
Yeah, I like how this week Biden, I think it was today or yesterday, Biden was like 100% sure that Putin's going to invade, and even though they're pulling troops off, they're like, what the hell is, what's going on?
Oh, there were these great articles with Russia's gonna invade at Friday 1 a.m. and then a few hours later changed the headline to for the 1 a.m. to any time now. Okay, have fun if you're
yeah. Compared to all the talk about all these various other trucker convoys across the world happening, Biden won't shut up about Ukraine. It's like, what the hell? Why is an American president involved in Ukraine? So I don't know, but whatever.
Yeah, and
his son is.
Oh yeah, Hunter Biden. He's involved.
And Renegade Cut is just invoking the absolute most Nazi word imaginable in favor of the communists.
Here's Giga Chad in the Super Chat world. Thank you, sir. Racist flags was work by Trudeau's photographer. I saw a tweet about that. I was like, that sounds stupid. I can't believe that's a thing, but apparently.
But he was in the same picture as the flag. The door was freshly unfolded.
Yeah, something fishy is going on. I don't know what, but
these people even suck at false flag operations and agent provocateur actions.
They are Canadian.
It is sad.
They're not so good at this espionage stuff.
Well, the Canadian Secret Service is not as good as the Danish one.
We do have one. We just don't know what they do.
Yeah, that can be a good sign. It can also be a bad sign.
Yeah, I'm more on the bad side of believing it's probably not working out.
We also have a couple in Germany. We have a couple secret services, and we have actually no real clue what they do and what they all are. The populace doesn't know how many we actually have. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think the Crown is involved. I just don't know in what capacity. It's very strange, but Canada's a very weird place.
You know what our defensive secret service is called?
The defense?
The Defensive Intelligence Service. It's called the Militärischer Abschirmdienst.
I thought it's the Bundesliga.
It means the Military Defense Service. But the German acronym for the Militärischer Abschirmdienst is MAD.
Okay.
All right.
We have a secret service that's called MAD. I love it.
Yeah, well.
They used to have a magazine in the US.
That's true.
and there was this guy who had a cat and fighting Inspector Gadget. And
anyway,
Him too.
Black Panthers. Let's talk about them.
Panthers, vanguard of the revolution, membership of the Black Panthers had become predominantly women after the first few years.
Very cool.
The Black Panthers were primarily concerned with racial justice, but they also
Nazis.
knew this was compounded by capitalism.
What?
The Black Panthers created free food programs and free medical programs for impoverished
racial justice
people
is what
across the
Nazis
country.
do.
Seeing the Black Panthers as a threat to white supremacy and to capitalism, J. Edgar Hoover of the Federal Bureau of Investigation launched a years-long investigation into the Black Panthers and other radical groups that the FBI called COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program. The goal of COINTELPRO was not to root out actual criminal activities, but to break up and in some cases frame groups they found subversive to American values. Through a series of arrests, massacres, and counterintelligence designed to splinter the Black Panthers, the group eventually fell out of popularity and disbanded.
Based.
Yeah, because the Black Panthers are basically the KKK with another skin color. Good riddance, bloody hell. Good fucking riddance.
Here's Chucklenuts. Hey, thanks. Biden has got a stiffy for Ukraine because his son sits on the planning commission for the largest Ukrainian energy company. Oh, no. Which also has ties to state officials in China, coincidentally. I thought that was the whole reason that Putin wanted to invade, because of some sort of pipeline project he wants to finish. Oh my God, Americans are nuts. Politics in Canada is bad, but Americans are even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Always.
In the middle of your Black Panther party.
The film looks at radical politics unfavorably, and since Forrest represents obedience to the status quo, he is righteous and saves Jenny. The Black Panthers shoo away Forrest for this. The framing of who is right and who is wrong is completely clear and unambiguous. Every black character
just like in real life
in the movie is background fodder for his story. The woman who clearly wants him to leave her alone but is too afraid to confront a white man in Alabama.
Oh my God.
The black man who opens his Dr. Pepper. And a loud drill sergeant with no name.
That drill sergeant loves Forrest. Forrest does everything he says. He breaks records. He thinks he's amazing.
Did he just try to make this about race?
Yes. Forrest is a
I,
weird.
I,
Okay.
I have the same expression as the old guy with the hat right now.
Yeah, if you're a young black woman or whatever, a nurse, and you're sitting next to some guy, and he's in a white suit and he's offering you chocolates, that'd be a little weird. I'd be like, okay, whatever. But it's the daytime. It's sunny. It's not like the end of the world. It's like, okay, well, whatever, buddy. I'm not interested.
There's this weird, obviously mentally impaired guy next to you on the bus bench, and he keeps talking to you about random shit. Yeah, but you can't stop him because you know, okay, something is mentally wrong with this guy.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm just not going to engage much because that would just make things worse.
Yeah, so long he's not swearing or talking about God, I think you're in a good, safe position. He's not yelling. He's just being friendly and saying, do you want some chocolate? You go to downtown Toronto, oh boy. Have fun with all the crazies there on the bus or the streetcar or wherever.
In regards to race, Forrest Gump is the classic example of a white man's own self-congratulation, casting himself as the hero of the civil rights.
He has no aspirations. He has no airs. He's not showing off his ego, how awesome he is. He barely understands what's going on. He's not self-congratulatory. What are you talking about?
Especially Forrest.
Can you imagine Forrest Gump having an ego?
Forrest is the most humble person that exists because he doesn't doesn't care about praise, monetary praise or reputation praise. He doesn't even notice it. He's basically Renegade Cut. You are the very asshole who calls artists manipulative that don't even know what the bloody hell is even going on.
Here's the Giga Chad. Black Panthers also received money from Castro. Oh.
Well, that's fitting.
Yeah. Well, it's not too far away, I guess.
Well, it's financing groups that are destabilizing to the United States because they are essentially traitors to the United States. They're treasonous. They want to destroy the United States and replace it with their own regime that has nothing to do which has nothing to do with the Constitution. They want to abolish the Constitution.
All right.
Because it's in the way of what they want to do.
Here's Great Scott again. Thanks for the one. This is the most disingenuous video I've seen. Oh, no. We've seen worse. Believe me. This is bad, but not as bad as others. Forrest is a bad guy for standing up to bad guys regardless of skin color. Black Panthers were an easier choice since Jenny moved away to California, where one thing leads to another on that side of the country. They could have chosen other groups, I'm sure, but they combined it so that it's militaristic and it was funny and
Forrest is bad for saving black people, standing up for black people, and giving tons of money to black people.
Yeah, and just happened to have a drill sergeant who was also black who loved him.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, Forrest never cared about the skin color of anyone. He was essentially colorblind.
So what the hell is he trying to say?
In the eyes of Renegade Cut, that is racist.
Yeah, I'm a little lost following this. If you listen to the film and watch these scenes, it's like Forrest doesn't really have any understanding of race and politics and in the military. He just does stuff and he stands there like, I don't know.
Yeah, and he just sees people.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a person. Oh, that person needs help. Oh, can I help you?
He's like
I'll help you.
He's like the quintessential hero who's just there to fulfill his role as hero guy and goes to the next scene and does the same thing.
He's like a player character that doesn't talk much, and you just go. You just click on all the exclamation marks and fulfill all the quests.
Exactly.
Without thinking.
He's lawful neutral, and he runs around, or lawful good. And he runs around, and people ask him to do stuff, and he's like, "Can you save my chickens?" Okay, I'll get your chickens.
He's a paladin.
Yeah, a dumb paladin. That's a trope. That's a trope. Dumb paladin. Exactly.
Movement. Forrest does nothing to turn the tide of racism or poverty, only helping the one black person he knows, and propping himself up as the fantasy benevolent capitalist.
He's not
What?
propping himself up.
When did he do
He's
this?
not capable of the concept of propping himself up.
When did he like show off his wealth and like buy the Rolls Royce and drive around Alabama? Like, when did that happen?
The most humble person in the movie.
Yeah. Forrest is not a narcissist. He's not capable of narcissism. That's a beautiful thing. He's the most pure soul on the bloody planet.
He gave half his wealth to some old black woman.
He's the American Son Goku.
Yeah.
He immediately marries his dying love of his life after she tells him he has this killer disease. He doesn't care. He's a capitalist. Like, I guess. Does he think he's
not really? He doesn't. Not really. Not in the sense of the socialists either, because he's not working to amass more wealth. He's just working. He basically just owns the means of his own production.
He doesn't even know who Adam Smith even is. Like, I don't think he could fathom the idea of capitalism.
Look. Forrest owns his means of his production. And then the profits he gives away to people who need it. Isn't this a socialist dream?
All right. Here's one more donation. Persilianus the Fourth. He's putting excuse me. He's putting that movie says that most radical political activists tend to be terrible people. And remember, if you went to the Capitol building, smeared feces on the walls, stole a podium, and left when nicely asked, you're an insurrectionist. Oh yeah, no. Same thing this week. We are occupying...
Those people that did that turned out to be leftists.
Yeah, well, apparently the truckers are going to overthrow the government by dancing and baking bacon and handing...
If just someone had told BLM and Antifa that this is how you turn over the government, and not by looting, burning... half of America and killing people and raping women and killing children. No, they just would have needed to go to DC and start grilling.
Yeah, get the Legos and get the bouncy castles. That's how you throw government over, guys, in Canada. I know what Americans do with guns and shit. What's wrong with you people?
It's the most polite revolution of all time.
Go to Toys R Us, get some Barbies, and start playing. That's how you overthrow your government.
Bloody Canada.
Great Scott. One more. Okay. Don't you know giving money to black people is racist? Up next with Renegade Cut. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, basically, that was reparations.
Yeah. Well, apparently, Mr. Gump is the bad capitalist. Okay.
Yeah. Not helping the black people, racist. Helping the black people, racist.
Saving the black people, racist.
There has always been a debate about whether Forrest Gump is a conservative movie or a liberal movie.
No, there isn't.
Standards,
no, there isn't.
The film does not.
There is no debate. It's a fun.
You make that up.
Yeah, no one is thinking, is this a liberal movie? Is this for the liberals to watch? I don't know.
I've never heard of this alleged debate.
The thing I remember most about Forrest Gump is the theme song, that stupid feather that flies around in all the scenes, and Forrest being Forrest Gump. That's it. Everything else is just window dressing and cute and fun.
Things happen.
Yeah, and they have a political backdrop because it's America, and that's what America is known for.
It's a historical backdrop.
Yeah, exactly. It's a retelling of history in a fun way.
Yeah, and when you have a historical backdrop, it's not necessarily a political backdrop. And honestly, the Black Panthers here came off much better than they should have. Yeah. If we're being honest.
They could have more conservatism,
portrayed them more realistically, and it would have been really
capitalism,
bad.
And both major political parties in the United States historically endorse imperialism and interventionism. Forrest Gump does not oppose liberal politics. It opposes leftist politics.
No, he doesn't.
Radical politics.
No, he doesn't.
Liberal politics are pretty
Even if it did,
mainstream.
would be
Forrest
good.
Gump plays to both traditional American values, something espoused by social conservatives, and strokes the egos of white liberals who believe they had the primary role to play in social change for marginalized people. Forrest Gump does not condemn liberalism. It condemns disobedience to American values.
No, it doesn't.
It condemns subversion.
You still didn't tell us what those are.
Yeah, is he referring to Jenny? Is he referring to Lieutenant Dan? Is he referring to the Black Panthers?
He still did not give us an explicit list of American values.
Yeah, we need to know what part of the movie does this show and how. And I want to know, like, okay, here's Forrest Gump doing the thing by listening to his teacher. And there, he's listening to the the authority member in his life. He's doing whatever he's told. He's not thinking for himself. It's like, that's Forrest Gump. That's what he does.
The guy who is trying to brainwash his audience would never do something that would destroy his own arguments. Like explaining those few lines that you have to pledge allegiance to in the American anthem and other things as well would only ruin his basis of the argument. Like, this is like such a terrible system. We need to obey some other things. Always this anarchy bullshit that he has, but like he never really has any substance behind it.
All he has
and
to do,
even if the portrayal of the Black Panthers is negative, that's a good thing because they're basically Nazis.
Even if it was positive, I would want him to tell me this portrayal of the Black Panthers are XYZ, and that is this American value, and blah blah blah. You're like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, okay, fine, I disagree, but that's your opinion. He hasn't given us an opinion aside from capitalism is bad, and the guys in the Socialist Party or whatever, the comrades as he called them, are against the war. It's like, yeah, everyone was against the war in the 70s. So, is Forrest Gump teaching us war is bad? Okay, is that an American value? I guess. Like, we don't know what he's trying to tell us. Can't be that hard.
Sure he knows.
If you have an opinion,
I'm not entirely sure he knows.
Yeah, if he has an opinion, he should just say, "My opinion is X." Oh, okay, that's an American value. All right, where is that in the movie? Show me in the movie.
Maybe he doesn't give us the bullet point list because he knows that if he did that, he would need to make better arguments.
He would have to prove it. Yeah, no kidding. Here's the American value at minute 5 and 66 or 26 seconds, where Forrest does this and he says that. Oh, okay, great.
Sorry, that was a weird noise.
All right. Anyway, Porcelinus the Fourth again. Thank you. Renegade Cut. This movie was made to stroke the egos of white liberals who think they played a pivotal role in social change for marginalized people. You know, kind of like me. You know what? It's such a charming movie. You can get whatever you want out of it, but it's always a political slant that has no basis. And I sit there and we're like, dude, this is stupid. Anyway, we're almost done. Let's get it over with.
The movie. It's why it's such an inoffensive movie to American audiences and why it was so easy to praise, especially around awards season. One of the producers once ducked the political question and said that Forrest Gump is a movie about hope. Really?
Sure.
Hope for who?
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
hope for the poor if you think the best way out of poverty is the system that...
Hope for anyone who sits around and thinks he can't do anything.
Yeah. Hope for sending your son off to war and having them live. Hope for finding love after all these years. Hope for making something out of yourself. That's one of the themes. Because it's such a hopeful, happy, charming feeling.
It's the hope for no matter how downtrodden you are, how broken you are, you can get back up. That is very, very clearly emphasized in Lieutenant Dan, who is a veteran without legs, with severe PTSD and alcoholism. He gets out of that.
Yeah, and
he gets out of that.
All it takes is one guy who believes that he should keep on living, not forcing it down his throat, not like giving him a platitude, because Forrest Gump can't really argue. He's not very smart. He's just there for his friend.
Question: did Lieutenant Dan get married by the end? Did he get a wife?
He got a girl. He got a woman for sure. I don't remember. I don't know if it's his wife, but it's his plus one to the wedding.
Yeah, girl is already amazing. Like that. Look at that transformation.
Yeah. If
that isn't a hopeful message, I don't know what is. He has prosthetic legs at the end. He is standing tall at the end.
Yeah, this
is this broken little ball of misery.
This is I wouldn't say it's a feel-good movie, but it does make you feel good at times, and it does make you sad at it's a mixed ball of feelings, and it's really powerful. It
can only make you feel that positive due to these negative moments.
Yeah, there's this whimsical feeling with that feather always moving about through the shots, and it's just like, what does that mean? I don't know yet, but it's still this magical, whimsical fairy tale America world. And I think that's the vibe most people got, because it's that flute playing, and it's happy and weird and hopeful, and I don't know, it was a great film. And he's admitting it. It won all these awards. Yeah, it should have. It's good. It's good to watch. I'd watch it again right now if it was on. Anyway, 1 minute.
Put them in poverty, not hope for the people that are bombed back to the Stone Age. We don't even get
It's
to see
Vietnam's jungle.
Oh well, nothing to be done.
They weren't that
I
far
pledge
out of the Stone Age.
to the flag
They had
of
huts.
the United States of America and to the Republic.
And it's really not creepy to have little kids.
I'm not listening to that. You guys can listen to that.
Just, ugh.
That is just stupid.
Okay, Renegade Cut, you suck as a teacher.
Yeah, does anyone know what the values of Americanism are? From
You
Forrest Gump?
failed. You
Capitalism is
failed.
bad. Forrest Gump is a war propaganda. And capitalism is bad. Also, Black Panthers were ruined by women. That's all I got from the video.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Mateus, what do you got for us on the stream memes?
I think I can't take anymore.
You want to go, Mark? It's okay. It's getting kind of late.
Yeah, I also have to get up very early next morning. So
all right, Mark. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great evening, everyone.
Right. Take it easy.
Have a good night. Most fun.
All right. Here's a meme by Mateus. Paragon, everything is cool. Renegade, I am an anarchist now. Holy hell. I'm not good with faces. Does anyone know who this is?
There's some meme guy.
The meme guy? Okay. Comments. Oh, Cyberfrog, what are you doing? You kill me here. Winston Shee. So Forrest Gump is an enlightened centrist film? What? Han Gebza. I am from Germany, and when I first heard of the Pledge of Allegiance, I did not believe it. Such things do not occur in Germany for obvious historical reasons, nor any other European country I can think of.
Stop right there. For 40 years in East Germany, the people who called themselves the anti-fascists did exactly that.
Okay. I always thought that no self-respecting democracy would ever do such a thing, only in authoritarian states.
Yeah, like socialist East Germany, which called itself a democracy.
All right. I remember realizing around third grade that the Pledge of Allegiance was creepy and uncomfortable for reasons I couldn't really explain. I developed the habit of reciting the first stanza of Jabberwocky instead, which lasted me through to high school. All right, you're a bit infantile, but that's fine. Love this critique. My only question is, how does the suggestion of Jenny having been abused as a kid fit in with the punishing her for being a radical angle? It's not said outright that she was abused, but the scene where she starts throwing rocks at her father's house and when she runs into Forrest's bed as a kid certainly suggests something traumatic was going on. Obviously,
yeah, remember I forgot that part.
Yeah,
and,
obviously
that is a good indicator, reason of why her life just turned into turmoil. Why she made just bad decisions because all she did was run away.
In compared to Forrest's mom. So,
in that way, she also ran all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great. See, this is what makes a good story, guys. I know this sounds very basic, but you take a secondary character or a primary character, you copy them into a secondary character, and Jenny's a secondary character from the primary character, and all the traits that they are, just tone them down, or only use one, and amplify it or tone it down all the way down, and compare and contrast to the primary character. That's how you do it. Simple stuff. So whatever your characteristic of your primary character is, or your secondary character, you want to compare it to someone else, say, all right, that's the trait you're working with, flip it around. And that's what you do. It's a very simple technique. Do with any story. Isn't it interesting that before World War II, the Pledge of Allegiance was recited with a Hitler salute? What?
Well, that is what it looked like in that historical picture he was showing. I thought, like, why are they doing this Roman salute thing?
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not aware of that. I just found the picture weird. I don't know where it's from.
This is awesome.
First time I heard about that.
This is back to Canada. Fantasizing about Canada without Trudeau gives me a semi. or a semi truck. Brilliant. Love it. Donald Trump. Oh, that's that's where America is right now in the next 3 years. It's like, oh. Putting my comment here because I think YouTube censored it. Are you trying to tell me something, YouTube? Yeah, I know. I did this all the time until I got bored because Renegade Cut doesn't care about me anymore, so I don't care. Could we legally classify Renegade Cut as a mental terrorist because he's indoctrinating his audience into commies? I think they're already there. I think that's the only people who actually watch this drivel. They're not being changed. They're just going, oh, this is what I want. Yeah.
I think mainly it's the indoctrinated that watch him.
Yeah. Forrest Gump Family Guy. I will not play that for obvious reasons. But thank you for the recommendation. The Real American Values of Forrest Gump. Here we go. Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Slow, yes. Retarded, maybe. Braces on his legs. But he charmed the pants off Nixon and won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded.
Uh-huh.
Good quote. Yeah, I forgot about that quote.
Yeah. Also a surprisingly good movie.
The Stacker King, Burger Perfection, single, double, triple.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Burger King? I don't know. I'm not familiar with what that is. I think it's Burger King. And Mark gave us this beautiful JoJo reference, as always. Quote from the meme above. Forrest Gump definitely utilized the Joe Starch secret technique. Yes, he did. Stop comparing me to Justin Trudeau. I had a budget. Yeah, this is the wonderful tweet that Elon Musk deleted for whatever reason.
I thought it was deleted.
He deleted it himself, apparently.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That's what the news said.
Okay, the news said it. Mm-hmm. Very trustworthy source.
So you're telling me Sophie Trudeau gave COVID to this man, but not her own husband? Oh, thanks. So you're saying Idris Elba met with Sophie Trudeau in London before she tested positive. So the assumption... Okay, I get it.
Well, we'll know when we see the child.
Oh, God.
Just like with Justin.
It's Woody, I think, from Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. And, we got a few more. Trump froze the bank accounts of BLM supporters in 2020. The left would still be screeching about right-wing fascism, but when a liberal does it and they remain silent, it proves they don't hate fascism. They just prefer their flavor of fascism. Thank you very much. That's a great That's a great tweet, or a great quote. Yeah, no, this is even Bill Maher was thinking that Trudeau was acting very Hitler-esque.
Maher?
Bill Maher, yeah.
Uh-huh.
When Renegade Cut speaks, Jarvis scanned for a father figure. Oh. That would explain a few things. Since military and student debt was mentioned, man, I killed to get this weight off my neck. Student debt.
I like that one.
There's the military.
That's cool.
Yeah. We need some wholesomeness. I suggest reading Mark Miller's Huck. It's basically Forrest Gump if he's also Superman. Also, the villains are communist Russians. Wow. Huck it is. Mark Miller. All American. See, if you want some American values, read Huck. I'm sure you'll figure them out. Okay. My brain is bleeding from this level of stupidity. He's got worse videos, guys. This is bad, but not the worst.
Look, some people have not yet get the vaccination against Renegade Cut.
Yeah.
It's their first run through the infection. It's tough the first time.
Those antibodies, they come in drones, but it takes time to figure out what feeling, because other things come in droves as well, not just the antibodies. Like amazement and confusion. Don't stop running. Okay.
God, what is that character design?
Babs Cam? I have no idea.
It's atrocious.
Is that what is it though?
I don't know what that is. It's a red pill.
It's a pill of some kind.
It's a red pill with a helmet and a Boy Scout uniform.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that was a long one, as always with Renegade Cut. Take some time. Almost 3 hours and 40 minutes. I think it's time to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that long? Oh
yeah,
God.
that was a long one. So guys, thank you for all the time and attention and cheering us on and talking about all our crazy political crap we hate talking about. That was a great film. I feel like watching it every Christmas, but it's on streaming. You can watch it anytime you like, so it's great. So
alternatively, watch a Lord of the Rings.
Is it on? Is the new series on?
It's always on when you click on it.
Well, I mean, the new series. I don't know what's playing. I heard Sandman.
No. Don't talk about this fan fiction nonsense.
Well, it could be good. I don't know. I have no idea.
How often do you have to be hurt until you realize that these things hurt you?
I'm outside of the streaming world. I don't know anything. I just listen to other people. I'm like, what is that all about? And they say it's bad. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I do know the Sandman's going to be streaming eventually.
It's worse than Bebop.
Wow. Okay, that's all I need to know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.